Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Market Close. We are here once again today on Tuesday, September 24th. We are rounding out the final week of September. And we've got a pretty interesting day in the market over the past couple of hours. Some very, very interesting stuff has happened. And right when I left at the end of the market open, we saw Nvda ticking upwards. Didn't really know why Nvda was ticking upwards, and it turns out that Jensen Huang apparently is done selling his stock, and that is why Nvda is starting to go higher, or it did go higher today, and it looks like it's going to close probably up about 4 or 5% on the day, which is not bad. We got some TSM news about them getting another $7.5 billion to expand their operations in Arizona. That is also going to be helping them. TSM is up 3% on the day. Shout out to Chad in the chat. Good afternoon. He says, tell me what is up and down in it. Well, you know, when you simplify my job, when you simplify my livelihood to just telling you what is up or down, all I can say is that that's probably a good way to simplify it. So yeah, that's probably good. So let's get into telling you guys what's up and what's down, and let's get this show started. Thank you everybody for being here. We will have Jason come on in about 30 minutes, and we will start Technical Tuesday. So get your tickers ready. I know everyone is concerned about Palantir and what the technicals look like on Palantir, so we'll talk to him about that. Nvidia right here looks like it's going to end up 4% on the day. It was down in the morning. Well, it wasn't really down. It was like, you know, it was barely up, kind of green. Didn't really make sense why all the semis were green, and now it looks like outside of SMCI and Dell that all the semis are going to be green. Right here, Nvidia at 121 on the day. Palantir not having the best day. I did buy some Palantir. I bought 5 shares before anyone freaks out. So I bought 5 shares. I bought 5 shares at 36.70. Look, it was down 3%. I said, you know what? 3% is like, at least I'll dip my toes in it. And so I bought 5 shares of Palantir. Nothing crazy. If I really want to buy the dip, it'll be minimum of 100 shares, but 36.70 is not that attractive for 100 shares. So it was just 5 shares. And Robinhood, I bought 100 shares at 22.50. So I did buy 100 shares of Robinhood at 22.50. Palantir, 5 shares at 36.70. And really the Palantir buy was kind of just like, it's down, so I'll dabble in it. But like, you know, I want a real dip to get excited to buy. This is not like the real dip at all. I mean, it's basically at 37. It's at 36.92. It's just the fact that it was down from 38. I thought there would be some buyers that stepped in, so I bought 5 shares. We will see what happens with Palantir over the coming weeks. The RSI on Palantir has hit 80, so it's extended at some of the highest levels that we've seen. Palantir stock obviously up 120% year to date. We will see, you know, how rate cuts and the macro kind of line up to give Palantir some booster momentum along with their Q3 earnings that I'm assuming are going to be good. But it's just not the most attractive dip for me to get excited. Now, one thing that did come out about Palantir, I'm going to do a full video on it, so we're not going to go through it right now because that video will go a bit more deeper. But Ben Thompson, remember I told you guys this morning there was a big journalist who talks about Palantir, and it's a really important journalist. So Ben Thompson is the name of that journalist, and he writes a blog called Stratchery, which some of you guys probably know. If not, that's okay. And this is the article I'm going to put in the chat. I would highly recommend people reading. Basically, he kind of talks about how he's not that bullish on AI outside of Palantir and the ontology that starts to get him a lot more excited. Right, one quote right here. To that end, the company I am most intrigued by for what I think will be the first wave of AI is Palantir. I didn't fully understand the company until this 2023 interview with CTO Shyam Sankar and head of global commercial Ted Marbury. I suggest reading or listening to this whole thing, but I wanted to call this exchange in particular, and then it goes deeper into the ontology. So really interesting article. I'll do a full video on it in a couple of days, just like kind of dissecting it to make sure I understand it fully well. But I'm going to put it in the chat. Everyone should definitely read this. And I think you'll get an even different perspective on you know, Palantir and different tech journalists that talk about it. So this is one of the tech journalists that Ben Thompson, he's been around for I think 2 decades now, and he's highly respected. I mean, him mentioning your company in an article, it just builds, you would call street cred to an extent for a company like Palantir, especially in the tech ecosystem. And so that's why it's really important for that to be mentioned. So here's the link. It's a pretty long link. Yeah, it's not going to send in StreamYard. Let me simplify the link on Bitly. I don't know why it's super long. StreamYard's not going to allow me to send it. So give me a second. I'll simplify it, or I'll make it shorter, and then I'll send it in the chat. And that way you guys can open it up. Ben also contributes to the Acquired podcast. Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know he actually contributes to that podcast. Okay, there you go. That's also a great podcast as well. And that podcast, they do like 3-4 hour deep dives on a company and go in depth. So that was some good PR for Palantir. Again, the media attention is stacking up. The Chris Camillo podcast I did in the morning, I will cut that up and I will put it out in a couple hours on YouTube if you haven't seen it yet. It was a really good podcast. We go deeper into the whole concept of social arbitrage, but his thesis on Palantir, the key summary for that, if you don't want to watch it, is he's in this for the next 18 months. He's not really in this for the long term. B, he's built us his position over the past 4 months. So you would imagine his average is in the mid 20s. And C, he thinks that the ontology and boot camps are why Palantir can become a very important company. And the boot camp sales cycle that Palantir is currently experiencing right now, where they go into companies and show you how to use the product and then potentially allow you to buy the product based on that boot camp, that is what he's the most bullish on. The one risk that he is afraid about is AI commoditizing the entire software landscape. That's a risk that will exist with any company, right? Especially in the software space. And we'll find out what happens with AI over the next coming years. But overall, boot camps has him excited, and I think it'll be a good podcast for those that haven't watched it. S&P 500 at 570. So the big macro news of the day, and the reason why Palantir's down is because it was up a lot yesterday. So that's my analysis for why Palantir's down. People took their profits. Again, given the market that we're in, it's down 2% is really not down that much. It's almost touching 37 at the close. So we'll see, how the rest of the week ends up in the next couple of weeks going into the election. But I think it's down because people were taking profits. China was the big news of the day. And I know most of you guys know the news about China, but monetary policy across the world is starting to loosen. We had JPOW reduced by 50 bips last week, which was incredible. And that was very, very important. That is the reason why the S&P 500 is at 570. Some people could say the market is kind of front running further rate cuts. I think you kind of don't fight the Fed in this scenario. If the Fed, remember in 2022 when the Fed was hiking, that was a moment to not fight the Fed. That was a moment to not buy the dip because they were going to keep hiking. And we got CPI data before we got the hiking announcement. So you could kind of tell they were going to keep hiking. Now I think it's in the opposite side. If inflation's coming down as dramatically as it is, there could be an argument to not fight the Fed on the downside. China's central bank this morning again said, hey, we are going to open the money printer. And what's very important about what they did today, a couple things right here. Bitcoin miners are up dramatically today, and Bitcoin's not even up that much. So the fact that the Bitcoin miners are outpacing in terms of the percentage gains today versus Bitcoin, that is very, very bullish for Bitcoin because it means the street is front running what they think is going to happen with Bitcoin by using a proxy. Oh my God, never mind. Bitcoin's at 64,000. No one in the chat outside of Mazolum. I'm sorry if I'm saying your name wrong, sir, but they mentioned that Bitcoin's there, and then Beneficial just mentioned it. I guess it happened in a second. It literally happened in a second. There you go. Look at that. Up almost 2% on the day. Holy crap, dude. 64. We haven't seen 64,000 in a long time. So there you go. That's definitely helping the miners. I was saying the miners are front running Bitcoin, but now Bitcoin has ran up to the miners. As you can see on the crypto right-hand side of my screen or left-hand side of my screen, Marathon's up 2%, Cypher's up 14%, MicroStrategy's up 3%, CleanSpark up 5%, Coinbase up not that much today, but Coinbase is still up about 1%, Robinhood up about 20 bips, BTIX or BitX up 2x, 3.17% on the day, and then the WGMI miners ETF is up 7% on the day. So the miners starting to get some love. Bitcoin with 64,000 2 days ago. Yeah, but that was a really quick 64, right? It was 64.7, but that lasted very quick 2 days. You're right. It did hit 64. Let's see how long this one actually holds on for. We'll get some TA from Jason today on Bitcoin, but it's more liquidity that's opening up, and that liquidity is obviously very, very, very important at the end of the day. Chad right here says, boot camps are awesome. You have to have a product that you can feel confident enough to build live in front of potential customers. One of the things that I really like from Chris on the podcast is that he worked at Salesforce and software sales for a decade before he became a full-time investor. And the concept of boot camps to him is unheard of because in software sales, again, what's heard of? Steak dinners and PowerPoints. And that is not the way that Palantir is selling their software. They're selling their software by showing you the product, and then you show on the earnings call within 4 or 5 weeks, you're setting up these 7-figure deals. That's just unheard of. It's absolutely unheard of, and it's fundamentally differentiated. So one of the refreshing things on this podcast was, hey, Chris, what do you think about the valuation? And he was like, I don't even know what they're valued at. It was like, I don't give a fuck about the market cap, the price. I mean, honestly, it was very refreshing for someone who obsesses about these numbers for not just Palantir, but for a lot of companies in the stock market. It was refreshing to see someone say, I don't give a fuck. I'm just believing that this vision is going to be actualized and that the AI thematic is real. And I believe the market will follow that. Now, will that be the case given, obviously, I think the valuation is a bit stretched right here. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. But it is nice to see someone kind of just not care about the numbers and care more about the story and where the tide is going. And the way the tide is going is reaccelerating growth. And then obviously them being one of the only AI application products on the planet. I mean, the only thing that is starting to like get people excited is Agent Force by Salesforce. And that's because Mark Benioff is going across the world trying to get people to believe in that. But outside of that, you're not getting excitement in the Datadogs, the Snowflakes, or the what else? The Databricks of the world that are not even public. Like, it's just not creating that much excitement. Snowflake right here, down about 1% of the day. Again, they did a $2 billion private offering for convertible debt. One thing that I found out is $545 million of the $2 billion is being used for stock buyback. So 27%. I did that math just now. I'm not looking down at my phone. That was quick maths on the top of my head. 27% of the $2 billion they're doing in a convertible bond is going into stock buybacks. And they bought back $900 million worth of stock when the stock was 154. Like, this is just one of the most egregious forms of dilution to be able to buy back your stock. I don't understand it. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Will the stock maybe recover from here given it's down 40% year to date? Yeah, probably. I mean, in general, they're going to do $4 billion in revenue. I'm assuming you will have buyers that step in, but it is very weird the way they're navigating this. Again, companies like Palantir are just not doing that. And that's why it's also very excited. So we have the Bitcoin miners going up. And then the other thing that happened today because of the Chinese stimulus printing that we got this morning is not just Bitcoin, which is at 64.3 right now, which is incredible, but also BABA. The amount of Alibaba texts I got today, particularly by our good friend Steve. Baba bitch is what I woke up to this morning. Baba bitch. And I'm like, all right, Steve, you're like 42 years old at this. Like, Baba bitch, are you serious? But look, he's been touting Baba for a long time. And it's up 8% on the day. He is flying high on this news. He's always felt Baba was the most undervalued company in the market. And he's right. It absolutely is. It's just China. China was the risk. You know who else is probably texting their friends Baba bitch? Michael Burry, who has 125,000 shares of Baba. He has 65,000 shares of JD. I think he has 50,000 shares of Baidu. He went super long China last quarter. FXI, the ETF to represent China, up 10% today. If you went long China today, or literally yesterday, you were up 10%. Now, what does this mean for American investors? I think it's very simple. We got the market close in a minute. Every American company, to some extent, has exposure to China. Even the companies like Palantir that say they don't want to work with China, well, some of Palantir's clients do have supply chains in China, right? Like, all of this stuff interacts in some capacity. If you are an American company and Chinese companies are more efficient, more effective, they have more money to lend out, they can hire more people, they can reduce their costs, they can increase their margins, they can give you better prices, they have better operating leverage so you can make deals with them. That helps American companies, even if we haven't lowered rates the way that China has lowered reserve ratio requirements and all the other things they did this morning. That is good for the global economy. If more people in general have more money because of what China did across the world via the third-party effects of just people working at companies getting more money because Chinese companies are doing better, being able to take more loans, etc., they can buy more things like assets or even Bitcoin. So I think it is very, very bullish for the broader global economy. And it seems like the stock market in the United States is at least reflecting that bullishness, which is why we are likely going to close into the 570s, I think, for the first time. Wow, look at that. Look at that close, 571. On the S&P 500, 4 p.m. Tuesday, September 24th. Thank you, everybody, for being here. The stock market is now closed. $571. I don't think we've closed above 570 this year. Did we close last Friday at 570? Am I tripping? S&P 500. I think this is definitely an all-time high. No, 52-week high was 572.88. Let's see over the past month. I think we hit those levels today. Yeah, look at that. I think over the past 5 days. Yeah, I think this is the first time we're closing the 570s. Yeah, because Wednesday the Fed cut rates, right? Or on the 16th. Yep. This is the first close above 570. Or maybe it was Thursday, but the fact that we're closing there again, this is definitely the first close at 571. This is incredible. Amazing close on the S&P. So that's not too bad. So 571 on the S&P. IWM, what do we have on IWM? IWM 221. That's up about 16 bips. Not up that much, but still small caps are getting some love today. The NASDAQ, QQQ, what do we have on the NASDAQ? 485. That's up about 0.5%. That's not bad at all. Palantir closed the day down 2.71%. Was kind of expected. Obviously, yesterday was a big day for Palantir, and so now that's why it's down right now. People took some profits. So Palantir down about 2.7%. Bitcoin right here going up 2% into the close, which is just incredible. 64,325. Nvidia ends the day up 4% again. Jensen apparently is not selling anymore. That article came out at like 11:30. Stock started running and closed the day up 4%. Nvidia adding basically $80 billion in market cap. Nvidia now very close to $3 trillion again at 2.96 trillion market cap. TSM up 4.12%. TSM actually outperformed Nvidia based on the Arizona news today, which is amazing. Amazon right here, 193, basically flat. SOFI was down at 765 today, bottomed out around there. Now it's at 785. So it was a little bit of a crappy day, but now it is at least somewhat back. We got Jose in the chat. Jose said, someone said Nvidia. Jose, we got to get you on tomorrow onto the show. We got to get your take on Jensen stopping the sell. And that is why Nvidia went higher. I mean, this is just classic stock market, right? They get a news article that Jensen's done selling. And because they get this news article that Jensen's done selling, boom, they get so excited that they're like, you know what? We need to partake in the Nvidia story again because Jensen is done selling. This was the headline, by the way. I mean, it was literally this simple of a headline that reversed the markets for Nvidia. And that kind of helped the S&P 500 as well, right around 12 p.m. So Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang sold $713 million of stock. He's done for now. Now, remember, this $713 million, this is only 0.3% of his stake. So it was not a big stake that he was even selling, but because Nvidia has split so many times, it would look like he's selling 120,000 shares every single day, which he was for a bit, but 120,000 shares when you have, I don't know, he has like 40 billion shares or something, some crazy number. It's or not 40 billion. It's the float, I think, is like 8 billion. I think he has 40, 50 million. It's a lot of shares that he has, right? 95 billion, I think, is his full net worth. He sold about 1 billion of it. So at the end of the day, not a ton of selling, but the street seems to be happy. Nvidia right here going up even in the after hours, 121.03 on the day. Tesla ends green. Tesla is now year to date officially green, which is very exciting. We're going to get Jason on and learn some of the technicals on Tesla. But year to date, we are ending, or at least so far, 2.13% or 2.35%. If you bought from the bottoms over the past 6 months, is at 47%. If you bought at 138 in April, you were up 82% on your shares. So the fact that Tesla is going green, I mean, I feel like that's bullish, dude. Tesla was red for the majority of the year. They had to deal with so many issues. So many shareholders had to deal with compensation, 8 getting delayed. Are we doing a robotaxi or not? There's Reuters articles saying that we're never going to do the Model 2, like just a bunch of different things. And Tesla prevails. 1010's coming up. Energy business is expanding, $812 billion market cap. Forward PE is 108, if you care about that. If you don't care about that and you believe this show goes on, then maybe Tesla tries to test that 270 52-week high that we had. Google right here at 163. Google was kind of flat on the day. Snapchat up a little bit. Oh, Snapchat was up 3.6% today. I guess because of that Gemini partnership that got Snapchat up. Meta's going to have an event tomorrow. I will be streaming that. I kind of don't know if this event's going to be that interesting, but outside of the event being interesting or not, I don't think they're going to announce something that's so important that could take the stock from all-time highs to even further all-time highs. I mean, like the stock is up a lot at this point. So we'll get some technicals from Jason on this, but I don't think the Meta Quest or any VR products or Ray-Ban glasses are enough for the street to be like, oh my God, we need to keep investing in Meta. I think they're going to look for advertising revenue growth, and election advertising is going to fuel a lot of that growth. And on their Q3 earnings, we're probably going to see some of that momentum. You got IBIT, Bitcoin ETF up 1.66%. I think by end of this week, you'll be able to get options on this thing. I don't think it's available yet, but it is coming very soon. Yes, still not available yet. And when there are options available, I think that is also going to be really bullish for Bitcoin. Disney right here, 93.74. We got Micron at 94. Costco ends the day down about 1.69% at 901. QQQ again, 45. Nvidia, 120. And the S&P, so nice to see a 570 close on the day, up about 28 bips. And now we've got hopefully more rate cuts in the next couple weeks to go. And that should likely help the broader market. Sold some hood puts into close. I actually sold some hood puts yesterday. I sold 21.5s for October 4th, and I got paid about 24 cents a premium. So if I have to buy hood at 21.5, that's fine. If not, it's about a 1.1% return in 10 days. I'm also okay with that. So yeah, I sold some of those puts yesterday into the close yesterday, not today. Tom says, amid the acquired interviews, Zuck says they're close to making a big announcement, so it could be at Connect. Yeah, I know he did an interview with the acquired guys. That's exciting if they're close to making a big announcement. Maybe it's going to be at Connect. Maybe it's something in the wearable space that really no company has been able to fully figure out. If any company was going to figure out, I do think it would be Apple or Meta. And I think Apple has kind of pivoted to AI intelligence. I think Zuck still has enough bandwidth to try. So, I mean, I'm willing to see what Zuck has to put out. Maybe the street gets excited about that as well. Okay, cool. Do we have any other headlines? Let me take a look. If not, we'll have Jason on in just a couple minutes. Microsoft did commit to $1.3 billion for an AI data center in Mexico and in the United Arab Emirates. So Satya Nadella said, we're committed to ensuring transformative technologies like AI benefit everyone and create local opportunity. So you got Microsoft that had that Constellation Energy deal on Friday, now even putting more money into data centers across the world, right? Whether it's Mexico, whether it's in Abu Dhabi, wherever it is, there's going to need to be more data centers, especially if they're going to be a global company. Another chart that I thought was really interesting, let me share that right here. Retail's been selling, folks. Retail has been selling. Retail has not been buying after JPOW, at least as per Bank of America's data. Institutional buyers have been selling more than retail. Look at that right here. Total flows from institutional and hedge funds closing in on 8 billion. Institutional was about 4 billion. Corporate was about 5 billion. Hedge funds was about 100 million. Retail was a net seller after 50 bips of cuts. I kind of like this because when retail's buying a lot, you tend to get a little bit more frothy. If retail's deciding to take some profits, you can even look at that on Robinhood. If you scroll down to any stock, you'll see like retail are net sellers on certain days when the market goes up. Retail's taking the profits, which I think is good to secure some profits, but it does show that there is a massive influence of inflows coming in from institutional fund managers. And one thing that is important is that if you've been underperforming for the majority of the year and you manage a decent amount of money, you're going to need to get some type of exposure. And then that some type of exposure might be just chasing the rally if we end up having a pretty big rally. And if that happens, we're just going to start to see a lot more money coming into the stock market. Again, there's still trillions of dollars on the sidelines. In 2 days, we'll get money market farting data again. We lost 20 billion last week. I would imagine we start losing some more money. And that money maybe is going into assets like Bitcoin. Wow, 64.6. Look at that. Bitcoin. Look at that. Now, so 2 things about Bitcoin, and then we'll get Jason here. Number one, again, I was talking to Carlos yesterday, and he says every halving cycle, September 20th is the final price that Bitcoin ends at, that it never reaches again on the September 20th of every halving cycle. Carlos is deep into the Bitcoin world, so I trust that stat is accurate, but that means Bitcoin's not going below 62.5. If that's the case, folks, that's going to be exciting. So maybe that happens, maybe that doesn't. And then finally, we are basically 14 days away from the 170th day of the halving event. Historically, on that 170th day, that's when you start to see Bitcoin really get some stronger momentum. And so we'll see in the next 2 weeks, maybe that happens as well. But Bitcoin right here, 64,300, not bad at all. Chilling out at that 64,000 level. All right, folks, let's bring on one of our favorite contributors and favorite guests who has to tell us if Palantir is going to collapse or if we can hold on to these levels. Before he comes on, let me play what he'll get mad at me if I don't play, which is his beautiful intro. Here we go. All right, Jason.
What's up, man?
How are you doing?
Too funny. You had it. You got to get it uploaded though. Once it's uploaded.
I wasn't able to get it uploaded, but we at least got the audio. The audio.
We got it. It's pretty good, dude. Bitcoin, man. I don't want to get too excited, but it looks pretty good. It's it could
no. It is. If there was any time to get excited, I am done with this waiting back and forth. Make me excited, okay?
So this looks really constructive. I got to tell you. Here, let me see if I can move this over, and I'll share my screen.
Is your AC still on in the back? See, I didn't get the intro right. You didn't get the AC right. There you go.
It's not exactly winter over here, but so it still gets hot. That's all I can tell you. All right.
So let's start with Bitcoin because we're on that topic already. Let's just get into that one. That one, I think everyone's.
Yeah. So this is Bitcoin. What I was looking at and what we were looking at in the server really was like, so the last time, I think did you buy this here or one of these?
I bought 59.5 or 57.5.
Okay. When you and I were live, right?
Yeah.
So something over here, right? And it looked like it was going. I mean, I don't know if you got it, or actually it must have been this one. Yeah, it was this one right here. And so here's our low. So we're coming off of really, to be fair, we're coming off a series of lower highs and lower lows, right? We're at a very, very critical point, but this was the last low. And I'll just use, let's say if this was a lower low, right here, lower low, this is lower from here. This was concerning because it was a lower high. But and then we had another lower high, right? So this is what we call like market structure. And what you're looking for is it's very simple, like very, very basics, a series of lower highs and higher lows, et cetera, and so forth to define your broader trend. And this is on a daily scale. So you want to have, the most important thing is to look and have enough time and really at least inside of a consolidation zone. We'd always said, hey, look, this is kind of like a consolidation area for Bitcoin. The thing about this one is that this last low, let me take this off. This is not a lower low, right?
Is that good?
That's good. So it's constructive. It's constructive. And if you want to be, a little bit more technical, so we would take like these last two lower highs. And when I think you and I were talking last, I think you said, hey, how's this looking? Right. I'm like, it looks real, right? Like, I think we had something, maybe a Twitter or something like that. And it looks real because if this were to break down, what we would have seen right about here, and all I did was I just took a replay of the screen. Right about here, we actually would have seen a breakdown, and we started to right here. And if this level at like 61.5 had broken down, well, then we would have probably gone and seen that 43, technically speaking. So what happens was this is the bottom of this consolidation zone right here. And we lock in right here, yet another higher low. And this ends up being a lower high. But now, since we're over this, and this is the moment, right? It's literally this moment. We're now breaking out of this little consolidation and we're going up in here. So the next hurdle that we have to like cross is coming up pretty soon. Even if we don't cross it, I think this is still fairly constructive. I'm going to play this chart forward just a little bit. So this is lower high. Now we have in the near, very, very, very near term is some kind of a higher high, depending on how you look at it. And I think this is where it's going to get a little wonky, right? So technically on the broader series, this is that last high. And so this here, this is going to bring us to 64,955. That's about where we are, right? And right. So if we want to be a good bear or a good bull, we need to know where the bears are hanging out. And they're hanging out at 64, whatever that was, right? 64.9 and change, whatever this last high was. So even if this doesn't go, and that's why this is where we are, this is live, right? So this is where we are right now. If this moment, like we end up breaking higher, this like medium term downtrend is broken, if that makes sense. And even if this comes down and puts in yet another higher low, we're very likely going to cross here. So even if it doesn't go today, right? If this lasts, it's going to be over here, right? So remember this line. So we're just going to extend this a little bit to the left. or to the right, if this ends up being a higher low anywhere in 60K, even if your friend, which sounds great, right? Like, even if this happens, this is still likely to break to the upside.
Do you think the momentum is based on liquidity from China? Is that what's causing this today? Or
I think the momentum is built on the weather, right? So it's funny. So Q4 is typically the thing. It's Bitcoin seasonality. It's a joke. But no, I don't know that that's happening.
But you are right. See, seasonally, this is when Bitcoin tends to do better.
Yeah,
you told me that last week.
Like late Q4. So what I mean by this is, even if this doesn't break out, because it's always been like the holiday season, the literal holiday season. So like you get into the eating season. I call it eating season of like October. You get all the candy. November, everybody's together. Then December, then January. That's typical seasonality for Bitcoin. So regardless of what happens here, I think this whole setup right here, right now, is pretty constructive. Since if this is that last lower high, which it should have, could have been for the bears, they really tried. We'll give them that, right? It really tried. It breached just slightly, but right here, look, I think this is good. I don't know that I would necessarily press a bet. I think there are some. You talked about miners a little bit ago. I think Coinbase. Look, Coinbase has been I've been in this trade for 3 days now, and it's very frustrating for sure. But today's price action was pretty constructive. I think Coinbase specifically is at a very key inflection point for sure. And so I think from a risk reward perspective, look, I'm not into the miners. Coinbase isn't really a miner. I think that you could probably take a stab at some miners, to be fair, like lottery stab. Because the market tends to make this move. But again, look, they're not really Bitcoin proxies, because Bitcoin is still all the way up here and the miners are way down there, just to be fair. So it's for a bounce, right? But
it looks productive. It looks productive.
Constructive. Yeah, it looks constructive for sure. It's not breaking. Let's be like crystal clear. It's got to get over. I mean, I'll just get exactly what this is, whatever it is. 65,000 on the nose. 65,000 on the nose. This little could like blip in the radar. So to me, we were looking at this kind of liquidity zone right in here. It held, and even if I did our basic fib extensions, that should take us at least to 65. If we see close to 66, I think, hey, look, this is looking good. And quite frankly, I'm looking for, if we do, you'd look for a little bit of a pullback later at some point, and then extend into 67 and change. And we have this very last hurdle, just under 70K, right over here, where this is what we call like a fair value gap from when we had that big kind of like blow off top right here, and we created this big drawdown candle. This is a low volume pocket essentially, and that takes you to 69,375.
Okay, let's get into Palantir, because a lot of people are curious about this one. I'm really curious your thoughts here. It's in uncharted waters. Hit 38 yesterday. So I guess, where are you thinking this thing goes from here?
Dude, I couldn't believe it. I was like Palantir 38. And even today on the pullback around 37 or so, it was actually looking pretty constructive too. So again, this is the situation where, look, if the Bears were going to take it down, they should have taken it down around 33, to be fair. So this is that last kind of pullback area. I think this is a tough one. It's a hard market to really try to take a lot of what we call breakout trades, just because we get a lot of exhaustion at the top, really.
Yeah.
And so you might think, oh, something looks really great, and then it's going, and then boom, you feel like rug, right? Chug, big rug. And then you're like, well, what am I going to do? So right now, I will say, look, Palantir, we've never gone over this kind of pattern or setup.
It's a new one.
Well, with you and I. So this is what I'm seeing is the beginning of what's called a broadening formation. We have a series of higher highs and higher lows. And it's a hard one to trade, but they call this a megaphone. Have you ever seen this before?
No, I haven't.
So old school calls it like a bit of a megaphone. You're pretty much right into that half, like midway gap from this last breakout. So this, where it bounced 36.50, that's kind of like your midpoint. What I did was I just took like a small volume profile from where it started to break out. So as long as it's over the halfway point, 36.50, it's not going to the lower half of this megaphone. But I wouldn't expect, this is a situation where I wouldn't expect this low to really hold, as I don't think it's, this is just becoming a level, right? I don't think it's really matured enough. That's 35.50, 35.85. I would expect that you see that breach if you do have a breakdown. I mean, Palantir has been extremely resilient. And let me take this off. What I'd actually do is I'd take this area, this prior consolidation, and probably right in here. And this could be a while. And I'm going to make like this yellow line. And so what happens is you end up trading like through these zones, and you tag the bottom of this kind of thing. And then you actually go all the way back up and make a new high.
Well, what causes the megaphone to happen?
It's just like price discovery, right? So like whenever you have like an area of consolidation, there's a big battle between the bulls and the bears, and it creates a series of what we would call like liquidity grabs on both sides, right? So you can't get higher, so you have to go lower, and you can't go lower, so you have to go higher, over and over and over and over again. And so you create this kind of setup. So for now, though, I mean, this is still constructive. This is not like a sell anything situation. Honestly, I'm just chilling on my Palantir. The thing is, you have earnings too coming up as catalyst. So I don't know. So with Palantir running this much, you have earnings catalyst at the beginning of November, right? So the question really is going to be, okay, well, if Palantir does pull back, it's probably just going to be profit taking ahead of the quarter, if that makes sense, because it's had such a huge run. That's likely all I would expect to see on something like this. I'm trying to get that November 3rd or 4th date. Is November 4th?
They haven't announced it yet, but usually it's in that first week of November. So I agree, dude. And if we get like a 35% growth quarter, which I don't think is going to happen, but if that does happen,
yeah,
I mean, this thing's, I think nothing matters other than momentum at that point. And
yeah, it's very much momentum. Have they?
No, we don't have it yet. Trust me, I would know if we had the data.
You would know. Okay. So
if there's anyone on the planet who would know that shit.
So right now, this is fair, right? Like, I think this is fine as it is. It's not breaking down. What's weird about Palantir, man, I'll tell you what, it never closes below said level. It might wick down intraday, but it never actually makes a hard close below, let's say 36, right? And so like right now, that would be kind of like my line in the sand. So you're creating this little volume shelf, and this is what so you're creating a net new volume shelf. Even if we go back to the weekly, way back when, we are nearly in uncharted territory. It hasn't really spent any considerable amount of time up here, but pretty much in uncharted territory. And this is like the top of that little value area right here. Anyways, that's 39, but it was there for probably a hot minute. Yeah, this is a tough one, but when it gets tough like this, you get these kind of setups, which I know it's really weird to say, but it just kind of is what it is. You get these little very, very volatile type of sessions where one day you're down 5%, the next day you're up 7%, and then you're down 3%, and then you're up 10%. And you're like, what's going on? You just kind of just sit on your hands and let it do its thing, quite frankly. They're not easy to trade.
It's a legit tug of war between the bulls and the bears.
Oh yeah, a legitimate tug of war for sure. So I think the first part I would say is like, if you do get this flushed down, it's probably like to 34.50s, and then definitively if you get back into this zone right here ever for whatever reason, 32s, that's going to be a constructive pullback for sure. And then you have people saying, oh, we have like a retest of support somewhere in here, and then you're going to be off to the races, and it's still going to play this exact situation, man. So
I mean, that's nice. I mean, that's nice for the bulls, unless there's some macro event or really bad earnings.
Yeah. So this is where it comes down to like it's just gonna be at this point you're getting closer and closer to that earnings date. I know it's like a month and a half away, but it's gonna come into traders' minds for sure. Has it gone too far, too fast ahead of the next print? We don't know. We won't know.
All right, let's do Tesla. You have been
Oh
bullish
man,
on.
what a time to be a Tesla bull, dude. Did we go over this? I think, what did we say last time?
I think you basically said 250 last time is what you said, and we're there.
I know. I think this will break. Like, I think this will go through, if that makes sense. Where's our chart? I don't know where our chart is. Oh, it might be here. Daily. So today's daily candle is a bit toppy. I say toppy in terms of like, this is it. It went up, but didn't close on the highs. You get this like really flat day. I don't know that I expect a ton of extension on Tesla right here, right now, but see this 289? That's where I think it's going to be headed, to be fair.
289 is what you think.
Yeah. So basically to the top of this zone, right? So there's a session gap that's from earnings, I believe. And really like the top of this little box. Oops, wrong tool. Sorry. So we're coming into this area right over here. So now I can take this off because we're firmly in that gap. So now what happens, we had this 245 kind of pivot. That was a big, where it used to break down, was prior support. If it does come back, I'd like to see that 245 area act as support. Tell me if my Friday 270 cover calls. Yeah, I think you're safe. So on today, because you have this type of topping candle, so when you see a daily candle look like this, and like this is what I'm talking about, just this singular candle by itself. This is a candle that's like indecision, right? So it really wanted to go higher, but it didn't, right? And what you do essentially is you take the top of this candle, just draw a line straight across, and the bottom. And this really goes into kind of like a no trade zone. Right on this 240, it's 244.20. If it does come back, I don't expect a whole lot. Like, it could come back to here and then chop sideways for a little bit until it gets back in. But unless you have it like fully open and closing above today's candle like this, like you need a net new candle that's opening above today's high, which, to be fair, Tesla can do it. Here's another one that's similar. So you get these, you see this candle right here? Yep. It's very toppy, indecisive. So you can get it that like where it like wicks over, but then you have these very kind of volatile days right behind it. So I don't think that even if your 270 hits, that it necessarily holds for very long. You get these kind of setups, at the top of these kind of formations. So look, we still have 1010 coming. This is the 1010. Here's another one. This is it. This is it.
Do you think there is any fundamental thing he could announce on 1010 where it's always sell the news, but is there anything he could announce that makes it a super buy the event type of day?
Oh.
Or do you think it's set up to probably crash after earnings? Not crash, but like
China.
What about China?
So that's the black mark on the sales right now for Tesla, right? China's like way down. If he says something about like, hey, stimulus, blah, 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 or like, FSD is like launching live in China now, and we've already got XYZ amount of pre-orders or what have you. Something like that along those lines to be like, here's it, or a net new line of revenue.
What if he says in San Francisco, January 1st, you can download the Robotaxi app and call a Robotaxi? What if that?
I don't think so.
You don't think that does it?
No, I really don't. I mean, maybe I think that's a temporary pop, maybe. Because then honestly, the Robotaxi itself, I really don't care about, dude. To be fair, like I really don't care about. It's just about the FSD line of business. or revenue rather. So, yeah. But ideally,
I mean,
look,
if the consensus is 1010 is a sell the news, maybe that doesn't happen this time. Who knows?
I would love to see it.
This I
really
think would
love to
pump.
see it.
A $25,000 car announcement. I don't think they're going to do that, but I think that would pump.
Oh, they might do that.
I mean, if they do that, I think that's
because the robotaxi, the robotaxi is a new vehicle.
Yeah, but you can't buy a robotaxi, right? You can only order it.
What's basically you're supposed to be able to buy like not the taxi, but it's like a new model, right?
Well, that's what the Reuters article was debating in April. That's when the stock dipped to 130s because they didn't know if that was going to be a real model or not. I mean, I think those are really valid questions.
Yeah, no, it's a valid question for sure. That's an interesting one. I think that would make it happen. We're supposed to get a new model.
Again, that's why Reuters in April was like, there is no model. And then Elon's like, fake news. And then we haven't heard of a new model. And all we got was 8.8, now 10.10. So everyone's kind of like, well, what exactly what's going to happen? You know?
Yeah, I think the robotaxi itself is a new model, like honestly. So that could be interesting for sure.
Okay, so overall, you're bullish. You think it needs to hold 255 is to you?
No, I think it can pull back a little bit. So 230s was like that last level, 233. Even if we get this retest of, so this is that last breakout. So I'm zooming in a little bit here so I can take this down now. This is done. We have overhead resistance in that 265 area. So I think it can bang its head up against that for a little bit. But briefly, you're not really flying for a while. I mean, this is a good move. Don't get me wrong. This is a great move. But to press it here is I wouldn't do it with a lot of capital.
You wouldn't buy call options here. Like the time to do that.
I mean, you can, depending on the intraday move, but I would do it for extremely short dated, like for Friday. And basically here's a gap up kind of situation or something like that. I don't think it's for your audience, like something that you can sit in and hang on to, right? Because it's going to get really choppy here. The types of trades like that, could be like butterflies. I have a butterfly on Tesla now for October that goes up to really this area, but I'm already like well over a double on it, so it's not really a big deal. Okay, but yeah, I think it could pull back, and where we, like I was saying, where we were kind of basing out. Take this down for just a minute. But essentially in this, so it's just like Palantir was like, we have this prior kind of area that we finally broke out of, but this area inside, so between 244 and it's a $10 wide area. In this area, I want to see that start to act as support, right? So even if we get these dips, I want to see dips get bought in this area like that, and then eventually come back out.
Got it. Can we look at Nvda?
Oh man, did you see that headline? I know you did.
I can't believe that headline is what did it, but seems like so.
Seems like it. So this is daily. Without the headline though, today in our group, we had a pretty clean setup. I was like, this morning, it looked like, hey, we are very like our open was starting to look like really bullish. And I'm like, oh, I feel like I need to, raise some cash. And I was just looking around at the markets, like, what can I sell? And there really wasn't even a whole lot. And I started to look at Nvda and I was like, no, I can't even, because Nvda, I know from a long-term perspective is stuck in this like triangle formation. But in the pre-market, I was looking, I was like, I can't even sell this because this is, remember we talked about these two blue lines, or these two lines on my chart. There's the white. Let me just make this a little bit.
By the way, real quick, Sam Bankman-Fried's girlfriend is getting 2 years in prison. Just letting everybody know.
I think you can see that. Can you guys see that?
The bottom?
Just these two lines.
Oh yeah. We see that. Yeah.
So this is the blue line is the 50-day simple moving average, and the white line is the 20-day simple moving average. And I was looking at it, I'm like, I can't sell this right on this situation. Whenever we've talked about this, these simple moving average, we've talked about them in terms of we want to see expansion. We want to see the distance between those two start to widen. And before it was tightening, right? So they tightened and they crossed slightly, but this price wasn't breaking down. And even in this little setup, you have another little consolidation here, whatever, right? Like you have a little consolidation, and it's just barely over those simple moving averages. And I can't, without the news, I'm like, I can't really sell it because it could pop, right? And this is the pre-market. You're coming out and you're looking. I didn't trade this one. I'm like, unfortunately, I didn't. Oh, sorry. But yeah,
you liked the simple moving averages expanding based on.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, I can't sell this because it's possible that this could bounce right in my face to the top of this range. And sure enough, it basically did. So far, right? We still have 123 to get to. I think it gets there, but I think that this move probably really takes you into this prior chop zone and the top of that consolidation. So what you're going to see is like this can chop, it can do this. It can pull back. It can even pull back to here and still be fine. At a certain point, what you're going to want to see is you want to see a breach slightly over. Let's say even if this is tomorrow, just looking at this line, you want to see a breach slightly over, pull back, hold, and then go. If that makes sense.
That would be what, 127?
It's going to be about 123.
Someone bought 60,000 call debit spreads with the 127 sold short for this Friday.
So that actually puts it right into this zone, right in here, and to stop right around there. So the bottom of that is 127. So that's exactly there. And when I've been watching the Nvidia flow too, just from an options perspective, it hasn't been like overly egregious. Like today, 3 million calls to 1.5 million puts. But yeah, a lot of short calls for sure.
That next earnings is going to determine if, either we're going back to 100 or.
Yeah, Nvidia is like, I think it's still, even after today's move, I think it's still technically range bound. But that wasn't a day that you wanted to sell, basically. And even if you just like, if I take all this stuff off, just this setup now, like the bulls will come in and be like, oh, here you have like this little inverted, even this near term cup and handle that should break out. And this extension should, in all honesty, like take it to that little area. So we have from here to here. Yeah, this consolidation takes it smack in the middle, right to that 127.
At some level, though, don't you like that Nvidia is consolidating? Because if it was at 140 right now, it would just feel frothy, right? Like you want it to get there after earnings if it gets there.
Yeah, I think that's fine. Like it's been by the dip. I bought NVDL over here and then I sold it here. I didn't re-enter today. Just looking at my NVIDIA shares themselves. I'm like, it's not in a spot where I want to sell anything for sure. Yeah, that would have been a nice, everything this morning, I don't know if you caught that first early move, but everything this morning was looking really like rough.
Yeah.
Super rough until that article came out and like my Coinbase, dude, this was looking, I was sad. I was actually sad. I was like, I'm really sad right now. So I was looking at my Coinbase and I'm like, okay, this, I can take these lines off here for a minute. This whole thing right here, this consolidation area, this was looking really constructive, even in the pre-market. Pre-market, I'm like, okay, we're good to go. And you throw like a 20-day on it. Here's that white line, that 20-day simple moving average. It's looking really good. Until it didn't. to be fair.
Yeah.
But this could be, what the bear case here is, like, you fail at a 20-day and it's a quick like flush. And what was I saying? And like, it could have been really ugly. Quite frankly, it could have been really ugly to like sub 160s. Today I was watching this order. We call it order block. So if that was the low here, this last low, the low before the lowest low is right here. And so what I did was like, okay, I took a quick short. That's about 167. Was it 167? It could have been 161. Anyways, we'll play this forward. But as it was going, I'm looking, this is the pre-market. I'm like, and then as it opened early, it was actually looking like it was going to bounce a little bit. That screen didn't, but early it was like, this is that pre-market level right here. And I was like, okay, rooting for it. And all of a sudden, no good, right? And it broke this 166. It broke the major 169. And then somehow, lo and behold, it started to bounce again. And it was at this point right here, once it had reclaimed this last low, I'm like, okay, if she holds above that, this is fake. And we could actually go back up to the highs, which somehow she did.
Well, Bitcoin did go up a bit. That helps.
Yeah. And so this ends up being like the perfect liquidity grab, essentially. And then on a 3-hour, so I like a 3-hour chart because it gives me a clean split between the first half and the second half of the trading day. And then it also separates my pre-market and post-market sessions. So I know a lot of people like 4 hours. I don't like 4 hour. I like a 3-hour. I just told you why. But I only have 2 candles intraday. So this is big, like now it's like a big hammer candle. And that back half of the session opened over 169, which is really, that's that key pivot, right here. And then we were talking about Coinbase. When I was talking about Coinbase in terms of a key area, it's not just because of this consolidation. If I bring this back to a weekly scale, this area comes from all the way over here, right? So like way over here, this is what time? This is like 2022, where it actually started to hold up a little bit and had a little battle. So that's like 169. So if it can hold right in this area, 210.
I mean, if Bitcoin,
I'm just saying 210 is in the cards, and that puts you right into this last high. So take it for what it is. That's a big trade. To me, that's a 25% just on equity alone. You can take it however you want to take it, but this looks pretty constructive to me. And I don't know if you can see this little wick way over here. If you're equity or something like that, you would use this 161 as your stop.
Yeah.
So, and that's going to be about the halfway point.
So I want to do SOFI. Before SOFI, can we quickly do Alibaba? I know you're not going to have a ton to say because you don't love China, but
you know about that?
Yeah, of course I know about it. Let's do a quick 2 minutes on Baba.
Chinese equities. What did I said this last time, right? Chinese equities trade off technicals. What they did today, that's super wild. I honestly, I wouldn't have expected to see that out of a communist country, but if they want their stock market to create some kind of wealth effect, I think that's what they'd be looking at, which makes sense. Like, you're not going to be, if you're the, what was it just recently? If you're the richest person in China, you're disappeared.
Yeah.
Right. You're disappeared pretty quickly. But this is that consolidation series of lower highs, higher lows, or lower highs and lower lows. And then finally you start to break out like a week ago.
Yep.
It was just like this little stutter step over. I don't know the earnings. I'm just going to tell you right now, these stocks do not trade on fundamentals or valuation. That does not matter at all.
Because if they did, they wouldn't be Baba would not be at this level, basically.
Yeah, no, it just doesn't. It's because it's a communist country. And honestly, if the companies were making that much, like they're gonna find a way to take that money and give it back to somebody else.
So for you, the technicals, I mean, you wouldn't like buy Baba here on a fundamental basis, but you also think the government can
no, but a technical, but Chinese equities trade on technicals, 100%. So technically speaking, this weekly downtrend that was broken. So the last 2 weeks you've been in an uptrend, not just today. But if you had bought, I don't know, anytime in 2023, you're not like, or earlier 2021, you're still red.
Well,
just to be fair.
Okay.
So anyways, I think you get to the top. That's just barely over 100. So that's right in here. But these are really hard stocks to trade. Very hard stocks to trade.
It took a lot of stimulus to make this even happen. So
yeah, I mean, it's kind of mind blowing to me, like that they're even doing stimulus. But just the same here, we can do. Let's just take this area of consolidation here and give them some levels. Ooh, it's already at an extended level. Yeah, so this is like just over halfway through this consolidation here, like from here to there. What if I move this down? Maybe I got that wrong. Yeah, if this is the box, then you're probably okay, which it probably is, to be fair.
Okay. Can we do SOFI? SOFI. We'll do Micron as well, guys, in a bit.
I'm not, well, so Micron doesn't matter, just to be fair. We can look at Micron, but it's got earnings.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah, that's also fair.
Yeah. SOFI's at the top of the box. Still consolidation. I think you want to see this 730 area hold. I think this is probably okay. So even on this like smaller piece, so high, lower, low, higher low, higher high. You're really just looking for a higher low, and I think it's going to be right here, like right into this 740.
Do you like these levels for shares or calls here?
I do.
Okay. I
do. I think you're okay, like in terms of like taking a bet, a speculative one. I'm not in the case of like SoFi's going to 40, but you know, from sub 8 to let's call it $12, that's a 50% move on equity alone. That's nothing to shy away from, really.
I'm thinking that as well, dude. 8 to 12 does not seem crazy to me at all.
No, I don't think it does, right? It's just a matter of like how long does it stay at 12 and can you exit, right?
Well, unless they turn the page and they're in a new era, which maybe they are.
No,
or the rate cuts help them even more, you know?
Yeah, I think they do, right? Like your what is it, max 14, something like that, right in here.
Yeah,
I think there was was there some kind of note about there? And so there's really not the tech story. If the market decides that they believe the tech story on SoFi,
that's not going to happen. That's the biggest problem with me on SoFi. There's no narrative other than rate cuts. There's literally zero narrative
for us, right? But the real diehard Noto fans are like,
not a narrative.
There's a narrative.
That's not a real narrative. That's like the tech growth is not there to make that a narrative. That's like
it doesn't have to be there. Is my point, right? So my point is it doesn't have to be real, but if the market believes it.
Well, the market, we know the market doesn't believe that. That I'm hoping the market believes that rate cuts increases their guidance and the market gets excited. They're not going to believe in Galileo and Technisys next quarter unless SoFi has this massive growth quarter that surprises everybody, you know?
Yeah, it's possible. A lot of the banks were getting hit early. They were looking okay towards the close. JPM.
That's another reason I thought SoFi was down today. Some of the banks were taking.
Yeah, it's not looking that great. Oh yeah. Bank of America does not look good. What's Wells Fargo? Yeah, these don't look like great charts.
Well, again, they're dealing with the
The
balance
big
of
banks.
they're dealing with the balance of their net interest income margins going down,
Right.
but also the fact that they can give more loans, which is good.
Yeah.
And they're trying to figure out which one is going to ultimately.
I do like my NYCB in this area right here.
That's about $3. No, it's
10. Oh yeah, they did a split. But yeah, $10 give or just like 10.90 right now.
What is the calls you have on SoFi again? It's 2026, $10, right? That's what you have. Okay. I feel like it's a fair bet to say SoFi is $10 in 2026. I feel like that's not insane.
Yeah. June
2026, $10, dude. I feel like that's
they've been trading the same price though. I mean,
okay, so let me ask you this question. If you go back to the SoFi chart, 3 years of consolidation, like what does it take for a technical breakout from that consolidation? Is it a catalyst fundamentally, or is it more technical?
So options are about like sustained momentum, if that makes sense. The option premiums will start once it's outside of 9. If it's holding like over 9, then the options premium will start to like climb significantly. But right now, this is the box, right? So this is it. And technically, SoFi has traded at this level since 3 years. It's been flat.
But that's why I'm thinking of buying calls. Isn't that when you're supposed to buy calls on a smart company that is good? They're doing $2 billion in revenue. They're profitable, good leadership.
No,
it's time for them to break out. Like theoretically, if you had to set up a position to buy,
that's why you buy stock, not why you buy calls. But yeah, like the calls, you need to have momentum going. So like if you have you have to have the technicals line up for options.
Correct, but you also need a catalyst for the technicals to start looking pretty. Like Palantir, the catalyst was profitability in May. The technicals looked horrible for Palantir in 2023 until they became profitable.
Speaking of something else with the catalyst.
Okay.
What do you think about tomorrow's meta event?
I have no idea.
Are you gonna buy the new Quest?
Dude, I think VR is so stupid. Like I can't even. I legit think it's so dumb. Unless you're into video games and stuff. But what do you have on Meta? What do you think?
So Meta had been in this consolidation here, right, for quite a while, and 530, I think, was the upper end of that range. So here's Meta, and it was like 530s for 6 months, the better part of 6 months. And so like at this point, yeah, this is a weekly scale. Oh God, super bearish chart, dude. Not.
Why is Meta? Dude, it hit 570 a couple days. Like it's like really it broke out.
So 545. Yeah. So it's this is the consolidation. It's a big consolidation, right? 6 months, it had gone nowhere, really. Like really 6 months, absolutely nowhere. And we were talking about the range down here. I remember like 490s. I didn't open calls like long dated here at this point, but here we have a catalyst. So from this, and this is our fib, right, from one of our other shows. From here to here, this consolidation took us to 570, right? And we hit 570 right here. If we can hold, the next extension is to 590, actually, and then just around 600s. If there's something that hits the news tomorrow, and it might even start to make that trajectory ahead of the event if it's holding 560s, right? So like 561 on Meta is, so look at today's like lower wicks here, and then this essentially area, very small, and I'm going to drop down on timeframes. So here's that last kind of blip in the sand. So it's stocks are either resting or running, right? So it's currently in a run because it's been in a rest period for 6 months. So this is currently in like it's running. So I would defer to longs, even though it's not a higher high. The yesterday's candle, and I'll just do this, right? So yesterday's intraday was not super constructive. So what you don't want to see when you're in the middle of a run is you don't want to see the highs made in the early session and closing on the lows. That is what happened yesterday on Meta intraday. So high super early, like first 30 minutes of the day, closing on the lows. That's not constructive for a continuation, but you could still see that, hey, look, we're still holding above whatever this was. This is Thursday, and Thursday's high and Friday's kind of like midday pivot. So this becomes kind of like that area of interest, right? So this is yesterday's pivot. Let's just take that whole section. And you got like, this is your point of control, right? Where most of the volume had been in those two sessions. And then as we went forward, we did get that dip because that was not a constructive close, but this is going real slow for us. So where did it stop? It just did another basically liquidity grab, and we're back over this 560 area. So as long as we're holding this, I think that you can make that next push into this area, which would be around 590.
And I don't think the event tomorrow.
This is short term.
Yeah, if the event's not good, I don't think it's bad enough to bring it back down to the low 500.
No, and it might be fast. Do you remember that time? It was one of the more recent Meta events where, like, I think Meta was still struggling on its turnaround, but Zuck messed up the Zoom or something, and the whole event was delayed for like 30 minutes or whatever.
That happened? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it happened, but it was so short-lived. It was for like 10 minutes, man. But you got this crazy pullback, and then it was instantly bought. It was somewhere in here. It might have been this. It might have been this right here, literally.
The best pullback to me was when it fell below 400 after Q1 earnings.
Or maybe something like
they spent too much on CapEx. I mean, that was not.
Was that here? 330?
Yeah, it was at like 400, fell to 398. I mean, every Meta dip for the past 2 years have been amazing buys, pretty much.
Now, yeah.
Yeah, in 2021, not so much, but by the end of 2022.
Yeah, but now look, this is the daily setup, right? So this was a 6-month consolidation, man. And we talk about, remember we were talking about no such thing as triple tops. So this is 1, 2, 3. The fourth time that you take a go at it, you break. But anyways. Okay.
Can we do Amazon?
I didn't see Amazon at the close. This is a little bit different. So take a look at this Amazon chart. And so this is Friday's kind of mid pivot, 192. And that's going to come into this session. There's a session gap here. This is a little bit different where it definitely closed. It was off the lows, but it's indecisive definitively to me. What's true also though about Amazon is that towards the end of the day, the last couple days, so like this day, it was not looking constructive. And all of a sudden you get these crazy buyers at the close. I've been noticing this a lot. And it's been choppy. Like it looks great early and then poof, it sells off. And then for whatever reason, sometimes you get these big buyers. But this one, look, my thing with Amazon right now is that we know that Bezos is coming in at 200 hot. And I think you have this area around 197. And so like the risk to reward to me, it was great. 145 risk to reward, or even anywhere around the 160s, quite frankly.
Right.
But up here, I'm just more worried that the market's going to the market knows that Bezos is chilling right there, right? Like he is chilling, waiting, and he's coming. So like for a couple dollars, I don't want to get smacked the second that happens. Because I think it's a short, like the second happens. The question is like when it gets there, where how far does it come back? And honestly, I think this is one where you could like hang out in shares and be fine because eventually he's going to disappear. Eventually,
right. Exactly.
And then it's going to be off and you're all good. But to take an options trade, you're like, I mean, $10 maybe. You got to be super short dated. I don't think you want to buy a lot of time because you know it's going to get really choppy. Honestly, if you're familiar with time spreads or calendars, I think here now is probably a good spot to throw on like a $200 call calendar, selling short dated calls and then buying long dated calls, and using that long dated call as collateral. When do they have October 24th? Yeah, I'd probably do it. I'd probably do it for like the next 3 weeks.
I think if their operating margins are above 10%, this thing's going above 200 on earnings. And if they don't miss by advertising.
So I mean, like before, like if you really like, let's say you wanted to do November 200s, right? Those are selling for, we're going for $7. It's kind of expensive. But then sell some October 200s against it. I don't know. I'd probably do these, sell the weeklies every week against it and collect a little bit more.
Okay, can we do IWM? And how are you thinking about small caps right now?
I think that they're going to catch up, actually. So the Bears had the opportunities yesterday, even today a little bit. So this was that kind of like trouble spot earlier. I feel like this is higher low territory right off this. So this is that last kind of, we'll call it like stutter step, lower high. It's same thing, high, lower high, higher low, higher high than this high. So this higher low should be right around here, dude.
And we're getting another 50 bips probably. I mean, that's
I'm just saying, like literally right here. That's about 220. Worst case scenario, this gets to 215 to me. And test in here, but I'm not trying to, you know what, for IWM, I'm just not trying to trade around it, right? I'm long what I'm long. I'm long TNA, I'm long leaps, and I'll have some hedges on here and there. I closed my hedges today, actually. I think that if you want to have it, like you want to let it do its thing, really. And even if I come across here, if it's going to do its thing, it should do it now or hereabouts. So like if I take this across, yeah, it's going to be this area. So if it gets over the next attempt it takes 222, she should break through.
Yeah. And my thing is, if the Mag 7 have decent earnings, but not phenomenal earnings, but the other 493 companies have good earnings, we should see rotation. Like the people are not going to buy up the Mag 7 if the earnings are not the best. You know, they don't have to sell them.
We're in that Goldilocks kind of setup, right? So 234 is the next kind of area that you want to see, assuming that breaks through. So assuming this breaks through, you want to see up to 234 and eventually 240s, and then you can talk about Tom Lee. But I think, you know, one step at a time, that's what it's going to look like.
Okay, can we do ONON sneakers?
Ooh.
And do you have a position in this?
No, I don't. I just know. What about Nike?
How
about Nike, dude? Yeah. How about Nike?
Well, you know, Bill made some calls and he got the job done.
This is like all-time highs.
Really? ONON? Holy crap.
Really? Yeah.
Year to date, this stock is up 88%. What? Okay, well, do you think it goes higher? 90%.
It's really hard. It's really hard when you have stocks trading like this. You have to be able to use like extensions, and you just do it like from each little consolidation area to the next. Yeah. So if it's over 5182, okay, you get this. You can get up to 57. My gut is 57 is going to probably take you to that very top wick. That's 55. 57s without understanding valuation or any of that.
Right.
You know, this whole thing, if you want to like, I don't like to do that kind of stuff. Like taking like massive amounts of consolidation, but even this last one, we're pretty full. But yeah, so this is if it's holding 50, so like sub 50 would be like your little liquidity grabs, like 49s, 48.76 ish, right in here. So this was that last breakout. It's holding here, and then like this is about 48 and change, just under 49. You've got a couple dip buyers, made a nice little base here, dip buy here. So and even this higher low today, this right here, this is off an extension level 49.88. I can pull it off price action, and it's fairly constructive. So that side, it would be to like 57s.
This is a good question for everyone in the chat. How much does everyone spend on shoes per year? On average?
You know, I was reading something the other day. It was like Nike really didn't even lose that much. Did you read that?
No. You mean like overall
from the new CEO? Yeah, revenue wise.
No, not really. I didn't see that.
Yeah, revenue wise, they're still doing okay. So
they do 50 billion a year. It's not a small company.
That's what I'm saying, right? Like, but it's not like they're losing massive amounts. So this is a channel. So this line is what we call like channel line. Here, if you took like, we use like regression trend. So you're right at the center line of this channel, if this makes sense. And I think Nike is at a critical spot. So if I were to put that channel back on just for a minute, I think if it gets any higher, like from the center line here, you should actually see it get to the top, which is 110. Actually. So okay. I think this is still tradable, right? Like even this last one, after the epic call from your analyst friend on Nike at like $70 or whatever it was, 71, to go like, hey, it's a long.
Who said that? Is that Fuckbucker? Did he say that?
It was this guy Paper Gains, dude. I don't know. You and him, they were doing all this analysis right here of this order here, 71.39, saying just do it. You know, you're up a good amount. I'm pretty sure that same guy said you would at least see 85. Here we are, 87.
Well, did that same guy sell, or is he still long Nike?
Nah, dude. So he sold some options. But that same guy is saying here now, if you get any extensions, and it's gonna, so this order, I call order block, but you can just look at it on the charts. So 88.66 key level for Nike. If you see this breaking, I would use the term in force. So like with volume, just do it.
That was a good one. I like that.
Yeah.
Well, look, Bill Ackman didn't sell Google for no reason, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of Google.
Who's speaking of Google?
I had some friends text me about Google. They're getting more bullish on Google.
I was short Google coming into today.
You were short Google today.
I was
shorting an American company powering all of our search. How unbelievably un-American.
I was short Google coming into today, and I made money. But look at this. But I don't know that it's a long either. You know, as your resident bear, he's gonna tell you that like this does not look like the greatest setup in the world. Not a pattern guy, but a resident Google bear for sure. That's anyways. It's a tough spot. So this morning, as we were looking at it, so in my group, I immediately saw, so we were short like up here, immediately saw this gap up and near gap fill early. And quite frankly, my first like knee jerk is like, I got to close these puts immediately. And I did. And then I was able to trail out for a little bit more profit, but, you know, so it was this very short dated. So you got to hear what's good for the Google bulls is that it didn't break down, right? So 160.86, I had 160 puts short dated. You know, this held, this is a clean retest, and what we call like, this is that session gap right here, 161. It filled. So the gap is filled. This gap is filled. I think you're clear near term, but I don't see the momentum from here now. the next spot, like as long as the same level, right? So let's do this. Let's take that point of control for this area. 162.70. I think over, call it 163. You're possibly getting into this area, but here's the deal with this area. It's a big level on Google. This was that prior breakout, or like this is a breakout quarter. Here's a breakout quarter pullback. If it can't start to consolidate, and so I don't think you should take a very short-term view on Google here now, quite frankly. It's a little early to get super bullish. Why did I just do that? Let's go ahead. Do you mind if we zoom in on that? Go ahead. I think these are important, right? So when you have this kind of breakout quarter, you start to look at like what's going on inside this, right?
That was when Google hit 185, right? That was the real.
Yeah, just before. And so in this area, this becomes kind of like your liquidity. So it's tough. So
put in the chat if you'd buy Google here at 164 as well.
I actually, you probably could for a bounce.
No, but not just the bounce, dude. This is a $2 trillion company that's not going anywhere. Like, I feel like, I know you're a little bearish, but like, what is the argument at 21 times earnings to not get excited?
I'm not excited about the leadership. Like, I like to invest in, like, dude,
monkey could be running this company. They're going to print $80 billion.
The company, dude.
Oh, sorry. They're going to do 80 billion of profits. It doesn't matter. Like,
I just think it's like you have to believe in what they're doing with deployment of capital, and I'm not really sure. So here's the level, right? And this is coming back to April 2024. So after that power earnings gap we call power, this is like big boom, right? And it comes back down. To find these type of levels, I will always default to a 30-minute candlestick chart because I can just really cleanly see where buyers and sellers are stepping in and stepping out, and like where they're getting really interested. And so right in here, so this is 63.80s, right? So you see a lot of reaction of price on those areas. Right here. They stepped in force. They stepped in force 1, 2, 3 times. Fourth time, just barely. They were buying at 163.87. I think that becomes your key pivot moving forward, which we're below.
Right.
So, and that is also why I took my short 163.87. And it, again, this level is alive and well. I just fast forwarded like a year, right? And you can clearly see what's happening, right? Like, so right at the same level here, it's doing it again. The question to me is like, are those people buying or are they selling? And that's what you have to kind of determine, because they were selling here and it broke down. And so as it gets back, which it did right there, they sold again right there. So the question is, does this level become like your major brick wall? And if not, like where are they picking it up? It's kind of like 150s, 155s, 156s, right? So like, I don't see another major area of like pivots until you get into this 158s type area. So maybe, but yeah, just barely sub 160. How about as close to 160 as you can get? If you see it bouncing around there, ideally below, I think you can take that shot at this point, because what's going to be really true. And so here's what's interesting. And I'll give you this from a technical perspective. This low right here. So if this is the low, right? 147, the low before the lowest low is 154.92. And if we're to make a higher low, the lowest spot that a higher low can show up is all the way down to here. And let's say you do get there and then you consolidate. I actually love this long, because what's going to happen is that at this point, now you might see what I'm trying to paint, like this picture, is that now the bulls are really going to get sided right around here. Right. So I like that area better from a better risk reward perspective. It's a tough I just still feel like it's a tough market to be buying breakouts because you get this type of exhaustion. The only other way that this is like I'm okay is that you breach, hold, and you consolidate, and then you extend. That's fine.
Okay. Can we do Rocket Lab?
Oh, is it up today? I didn't even look at it. Our stock.
It's up this week. It's not bad.
It's all right. Same spot. Same spot. Pretty sure that same guy said somewhere in the 730s we'd like to see a hold.
What guy do you keep talking about?
This guy, Paper Gains or whatever, the guy that you have on like Tuesday sessions or whatever.
By the way, speaking of that Paper Gains guy, let me put his Twitter in the chat so people can check out his Discord and all that good stuff.
This is actually, I mean, it looks great. Again, it's kind of a flat candle, so you know, a pullback early. It holds the 730, 725, but this is that last high, right? And so if I wanted to see a series of higher highs and higher lows, I'm just going to take this off for just a minute. You know, it's pretty simple, right? So if this was the last high, look what happens, right? So this is the last high, holds, right? Now, where we are, this is the next high. I want to see this become support. And so far, that's what we're getting. We have this 850 level that's it's a lot of supply or like resistance up in here. So you just want to be cautious that you're towards the top. But if we can get some kind of consolidation over that, look, this isn't even giving me a point of control. It's so wild.
Is this a double top or no?
No, not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
No, the double. So if a double top's not going to show up yet until $8.05 is where a double top would be, and it technically. So this is like the definition of a double top right there, right? 1, 2. But if this is a third attempt, let's say this happens and you get this, and then you pull back and you hold, this is going to break. Because it's the fourth attempt that breaks.
Right. Dude, I mean, I like it, man. I mean, the more I think about it conceptually, $3 billion market cap, big TAM with SpaceX.
It's worth a 10x lotto, right?
Yeah, it is. I think it is.
It's worth it.
It's just one of those things that might be dead money or it might start really growing over the next couple of years.
Do you remember that other space stock that we were talking about?
I do.
Around the same time? So we were along here. It's looking okay. If a stock like this turns around, that's crazy. Yeah, not really the best candle today, but it was a good bounce.
Okay, can we do Celsius?
Oh, dude, I saw that thing today. I was not.
Why did it go down today? What was the reason?
I don't know. What happened?
I don't know. You're the guy who drinks this shit every day. You're supposed to know this.
Let's pull up.
We did it. So I was interviewing someone today on the show, and he said he was buying transactional data from restaurants and grocery stores to find out if Celsius same store sales were declining. And as soon as he got 2 weeks of declining sales, he sold out of his old position at $90, which is crazy. Like, I mean, like, it's just crazy that it's that sensitive to like bad sales, and then boom, people sell it off.
I mean, it's supposed to be I'm not able to get. This was saying that this was live news for Celsius. This is not Celsius live news.
Let me see. Does anyone know in the chat what happened with Celsius today? If anyone knows.
Anyone have like a benzene guy? Oh, I forgot to email him back. Hey man, I might get put some stock at $30. You never know.
Well, where is it trading right now? Like literally right now?
3160s.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I'd have to open up my other account here and see what I know. I sold some $30 puts. I sold some $35 puts for October monthlies at $450, $430s. Those are doing good. I took half of the $30 puts down just because. But you know, I was buying the stock anyways, so if I do get put the stock, I'm okay with that at those levels. And I think I got the $30 puts. I sold them for like just over $2. So even if I do get put the stock, that's like $28 cost basis. It hasn't traded at $28.
Thank you, Bay Ray, for the analysis. It went down. That is solid.
Yeah. So I sold October 18th, $30 puts for $216 a piece. Those are still up 50%. And then I sold October 18th, 35 puts for $430 a piece. Even if I sold the $35 puts, I collect $430. That gives me a cost basis of $30.70. It's not even there yet. So that's why I was good with doing both of those. But we'll see. And that puts me right in this. This is my area, right? So I mean, it could come in to this area, but this is basically my buy zone. This little green box.
Yeah, I mean, you would be happy to buy it at that point, so it's whatever.
I would. Yeah. So
that's why. The best thing about selling puts, like if you are genuinely happy to buy it, you really don't stress that much about it. You know, it's when it's a cash grab that you stay up at night thinking.
Yeah. When you're trying to do the premium scalping and all that kind of stuff, then you're like freaking out and you're like over managed. Yeah.
Okay, can we do hood?
Did you get the beta yet? Have you talked to Vlad?
I did not get the beta. I did not.
Evan got one.
Evan got the beta.
I don't know if it's hush hush.
It's probably hush hush. Oh damn! I gotta hit him up, dude.
They might not even know who Evan is, so I'll say Evan got the beta, bro.
Damn, that's wild, bro.
Right? I was stoked. I'm like,
did you see that all yet or no?
I haven't. He won't. He's not showing me shit. Dude. What a dick.
He's probably under NDA that he can't.
Dude, he even came over here the other day too, and we were like hanging out, and I didn't get it. I should have like strapped him down to a chair and be like, open this now.
But are you 100% he has the beta?
Yeah.
Okay, so he probably is under NDA where he can't.
Yeah, for sure, dude, for sure. So this is where you sold. This is where you and I both kind of like took some profits on the options.
Yeah.
It had a look at this crazy stick of a candle.
That was special. That was fun. Dude. It was the day after I sold though, so it wasn't the best. But
what's funny is like whenever you see this stuff, and this is like the postmark of what a exhaustion candle looks like, is that if you see this in the pre-market, a big gap up, and then just before the market actually opens, you start to see it sell off a little bit, and then all day long it just bleeds. That's like, oh shit.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
It's exhaustion. It's an exhaustion gap, right? So the sellers are exhausted, or the buyers are exhausted. You run out of buyers, so you got to come back in and retest. Come back in and go a little bit lower, get some more buyers. So I think at this point we got a little bit lower so far. 2240. Look, I'm not selling any shares. That's for sure. I haven't sold any shares since. I actually haven't sold any shares. I bought it at 8 and I bought it again at 16. I haven't sold any shares. I'm not going to sell any shares. I don't know that I'm going to buy anymore though.
I bought 100 today at 2250.
I like it, right? Like you're a Momo trader. You know what? Sir, I'm glad that you bought it, because you got to switch from the trading options into like, okay, it's a real thing now. I like that.
Yeah, and also dude, if we're bullish on rate cuts and we're bullish on the broader market, Hood has the narrative, the catalyst, the earnings growth, and the event coming up. Like I think it's a very obvious route.
And then could you imagine if crypto like explodes?
Oh, and that's like, yeah. I mean,
it's over.
Then it's over. It's over.
But to me, none of that is actually the thing. The thing that it's about is this Legend Awakens thing. The thing to me about Vlad, it's just he just keeps hammering the table, and like he wants to take over the active trader market. Honestly, dude, I feel like that's such a stretch, but I feel like it's so cool. Like he's going at it, right? The only thing that kind of got me so I believe him. I believe him that he's going to make a genuine effort towards it, and they're doing it, right? Whether or not they get there, I don't know, but I believe him. I believe in what they're doing. And bringing futures and SPX options to the Robinhood app, and then creating a new desktop app. I think those are all the major moves that they can make. I don't think it has anything to do with dividends or cash or any of that kind of stuff, but active traders specifically, he doesn't have a shot, dude. Doesn't have a shot without that.
Yeah.
So I think it's a huge, it's, you know what it is, dude? It's a net new line of business. Like,
and
to
I think
me,
the street's gonna if they show off something special, the street's gonna be excited.
yeah. So I read it as, everything that they have today is doing what it's doing. But if they can flip this switch somehow, it's a net new line of business. It's a total add-on to brand new revenue.
I agree.
So anyways, it's that said, it's like, does the street believe him? I think that, yeah, $23 give or take is going to be a big deal. We are firmly into that last consolidation area where our friend Amit got clapped last time and he learned his lesson, but now he's switching. So here it is, right? The bottom of this is 22. So it can even come back a little bit more. And I think you're still good. I'm not selling. I'm not leaving. I think it's constructive overall.
No, I agree.
So if this is 1, 2, 3 tops, I like it. The fourth run, the fourth go at this, we should be good.
I think so. Kind of same with the S&P.
Yeah.
Can we do PayPal?
How's it doing today? I haven't even seen it today.
It was slightly green.
It was at 78. 78's a big deal. Oh, dude. Okay.
Do you still have it, or you got rid of your PayPal?
I never touched this, dude. I was only short PayPal for a little bit. I'm not a believer in the PayPal story. But that's just me. It doesn't matter. Honestly, I would almost rather like Intel at this point. But here's where I was, right? So this is that last high. This is actually a big deal.
Oh, wow. No, you're right. 70. I remember on 78 in Q2 earnings. I remember.
It's a big deal. Yeah. So this little blip and hold over 76. And this is why I was short. Like I was happy to take the stab short on this level as it was like looking to fail here, but they instantly stepped in. It wasn't instantly, but they stepped in like halfway through the day, and it really hasn't seen that level since. So at this point, it looks constructive. This is what we would like. This is kind of like your definition of a little bull flag, dude. So if this, you asked me once, like, what does that mean? So if this little bull flag, so here's your pole, pole.
Yep.
And the flag is here, right? So I take this consolidation area and it takes me to 81. And you're pretty much.
I mean, dude, people that bought options got fucked this year, but if you bought stock like in the 50s,
yeah. I think there's a huge difference between stock and options, right? So, and this is where it takes you, right? So you're gonna get it's all of this. So even at 81, but I will say 78 was a big deal level to hold. 78 was a big deal. Is this the earnings gap?
I think so.
So earnings gap at 85. This could start to get really wild. I don't need to do this like, this downtrend is broken. It is broken. You have a very nice base. Even from this is like over a year.
And also, dude, they're still buying back 7% of the float. Like,
I don't like that, but they are, right?
Yeah, I mean, look,
3
they're
years.
still growing at 9% too. It's not like, they're not growing at all.
Yeah. I the only reason that's keeping me out of the stock is because I'm like, is that the best thing you have to do with the money? Right. That's a lot of money, man. That's a lot of money. But technically speaking, the 78, it's all of this, right? It's a big deal. It's a big deal. It's been a big deal. It remains a big deal. It can get to 85s. Easy.
Okay, can we do Intel then if we did PayPal?
Intel had 23 was like a hard level, but daily, this is starting to look better, right? And when we did that kind of earnings stuff, so we're not quite over 23. Here's this earnings gap low. This is it, right? So 22, it's holding. So from that like complete fail, you have 2 days fully opening and closing above that 22 level. that in itself is a big day. When we're taking trades as a day trader, you're technically looking for 3 candles to close above a certain level to give you like this confirmation. When you're talking about swing trading, you're talking about 3 daily candles closing over a certain level, and that certain level on Intel is 22. And so here now, I think this looks pretty constructive. The third day, even if you get a pull back to 22 and you see it bouncing, that's probably a buy. The only thing I'd say is they don't have like massive, there's not like a ton of volume coming into this. So I'd like to see a little bit more, but 25 is the next level that you should get to. And so what I just did, so this is from the earnings breakdown to that flush out here. 25 is your 6, that like golden pocket retracement right in here, which is like $3. But then it just coincidentally, I was able to pull this over, and that brings us to 25. So that makes a lot of sense to me, easily.
And I mean, I think
then you see what happens next, right? So, but I think you get to 25, over 20, 25.50, 25.40.
That's not crazy for a stock that was at 18 a couple weeks ago. You know,
I mean that technically that's pretty good. That's like 50%.
Yep. Can we do Adobe?
You must be happy, dude.
Well, I don't have a ton of intel, but TJ, I'm assuming is
yeah.
TJ's in there. Do you like Adobe at all? Do you care about them?
I'm torn on Adobe. I liked Adobe sub 300. Like I bought or was it 340, something like that? I don't know. I bought it here. And I've since sold it. This was that first target. So like I literally bought it here, and it might have been like a snipe here in our server, quite frankly. And I liked it because of Firefly and a lot of that kind of stuff. And I do believe like that content creator ecosystem is a real thing moving forward. It's just a question of like, does Adobe really capitalize on it, right? Like, so content creators in terms of like the next generation of a legit job. I mean, this is what you really use, I think, at a professional level. Evaluation aside, I'm not sure, right? But like this area here, 500s, it needs to hold. The only thing is like, to me, you remember that saying, there's no such thing as a triple top? Well, look, there's no such thing as a triple bottom either. And if this was a triple top 1, 2, 3, the next time it comes at it, I feel like it's probably going to break. And you likely see just sub 500.
So I agree. The only thing I would say about Adobe is that I think they're too expensive for the average content creator like myself. $30.
That's what I meant. Like, that's why I said at a real business level, like you gotta, like if it's making $300K a year, okay, cool.
Right.
This takes me back to like 475s, 480s. But technically speaking, yeah, that's what this is telling me right now, because you just had earnings, it's gap down. So post this kind of earnings scenario, you unless you're over 535, right? Like unless you're over this one. So this is a gap up and the top, right? And so that's going to be 535. Unless you're over 535, okay, cool. Then you're going back up and you're going to fill this earnings gap quickly. Until then, I don't really want to. This is like a no touch zone. It's more leaning short than anything right now. And there's just the whole thing about like, okay, is it OpenAI? Is it what's their
Sora?
Yeah. Is it Sora? Is it Adobe? You don't know. Or is it some other one of 100 different like applications?
Okay, can we do AMD?
Dude, semis today.
Semis went green. They went green.
AMD still, like I said this last time, I think it's still in consolidation. I think that this is gonna probably make a little run after today. So after today's a big deal for AMD. This this is a directional candle. So you have just this like slow wick below that tags just barely a liquidity zone, but full close above 156.80. And that's this level right here. I think this is a big deal, 156.80. So let's take the rest of this down. For right now, you're still firmly in this consolidation. I think so. 164 is that prior all-time high kind of pivot from over here, and this consolidation area here and here. So I think you can get to 164. I just don't know if it really does the deal. So let's say if it gets over 164 like this, that's going to be a important moment. So either it's going to pull back down and it's going to retest this prevailing downtrend, and then it's going to be a hard long like that, or it's going to test it and just reject heavily and go back down into consolidation. So it's kind of like, it's not in a spot where I consider like a significant swing trade, but I think it's in a spot where you can like day trade it for some intraday heavy momentum potentially.
But you don't like it long too much.
The company?
Yeah.
I like Lisa.
But you don't like AMD.
I don't know. I'm open to changing my mind. I've always said AMD's got a good play at the client side. I just don't know about the enterprise side. I just don't know. No, we haven't done Roblox yet.
Yeah,
we gotta do Roblox.
We gotta do Roblox for Lena. She wants some Roblox.
Roblox is constructive.
You don't own this though, right?
No.
I've always been confused about the Roblox thesis, to be honest.
Like, maybe because we don't have kids that play this stuff.
Yeah, but kids don't have a ton of money, even if their parents give them their credit card.
It's fair. So here is this Roblox kind of consolidation downtrend, right? And after I think about a week ago, it had broken out and it did about a week of consolidation. Today's candle on Roblox actually looks pretty good. So 47 is a key level on Roblox. If you get over this and you have like an open above, let's say 47.50, or you're closing above 47.50, this looks like, so my next two targets, 50 and 53. I'm not, so again, trading, I just one step at a time. I'm not thinking like 65, any of that kind of stuff. You just top of this consolidation right here. 53. So, but you know, short-term momentum ahead of earnings on November, this is constructive. You have this trend line, it's broken over, it's holding, and today you got another little breakout.
All right.
That's over 45. So 45 holding, it looks good.
This is fair. So all for you and me says I pay for Roblox subscription for 2 kids.
Yeah.
And the Big Sour says Toys R Us was a 10x. That's true. Roblox has 80 million daily active users. That's crazy.
Yeah. I just don't know enough, right?
Well, they're still not profitable, I think. And SBC, I don't think is the best in this company, but those aren't like bad things. Those are things that adjust over time. Yeah, they're not profitable.
Yeah, so I don't know why they're forecasting to lose more money than last quarter. So like here's this trend too. So for a profitability trend, the street is forecasting that they start to lose more money again. But so far, Roblox, the company is losing less than the street is anticipating. So if the street next quarter, and this is interesting, so the street next quarter is anticipating that they lose more money next quarter than this last one, and they lose even less than they did the last time. Let's say they have like, they're down like 29 cents per share. That could probably make a bull case for sure. And then if they have a story to say, hey, we're in the year of efficiency, yeah, that could make a stock move heavily.
Okay, can we do CrowdStrike?
Dude, 270 to 300, it was like instant magnet, right there, boom. So this was that 270 break, 2 trading sessions, this thing went to 300. It was wild. But I think that's where it stops and stalls and does a little bit of consolidation. So again, this is prior overhead supply. Honestly, I think eventually this does go. You're coming in. So now you want to see a higher low, right? So you make a higher high. So high. You want to see a higher low. And like a solid retracement is going to be right in that 275 area. So 275 from here, from this low to this high, is going to hit this order block right here, and it's going to line up with a 50% retracement of this last move from 245 to 300. Then you're giving half of that back. You're retesting. There's a lot of confluence here, man. You're retesting this consolidation area. So right in here, maybe it pulls back, but it's possible. Like, let's say even, so that's the best scenario for, like, I would actually probably take it. Otherwise you get another red day and then you get a flat day that's over 280, whatever this is, 280s. So it either holds 280s and then instantly starts to go and you see it happening, or it fails there and then you're looking at that 265, 275 level. But so below 285 down to 265, I think you can actually get long the stock at that point.
So it's not going to 150 like everyone said.
Well, it got pretty damn close, dude.
It got to 192, but that was August 5th. That was everything.
Really
Everything dealt down. That wasn't Delta sued them for 10 billion and they went out of business.
No, yeah, it wasn't. But so
I don't know if you saw, but I got hacked a couple weeks ago. That's when I realized, oh my God, I would pay so much money for this to never happen again. And I felt like a business that has, real data, like they would pay a lot of money to make sure nothing gets messed up, right?
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of confluence here from like this swing low. That was a 50% pullback, and then right in here, a lot of confluence, and it was also the 200-week simple moving average, which you don't see that often.
Well, they also had Investor Day on the 18th, and all the analysts came out thinking, "Oh my God, they're so transparent, and they're working with us to try to figure this out."
So check this out. So that $300 level, that actually lines up almost exactly to the 200-day simple moving average, right? That's red line. And usually we'll play like simple moving average ping pong. I just said like 275s, where the 50 and the 20 are both sitting today are right here around that 270 level. So that makes totally perfect sense. And then get back in or add. Yeah, I don't know that it's a sell here. It's like $20 lower. It's not a sell. But if you're looking for another spot to add, I think this slowly makes its grind higher.
Yeah, and for me, crowd has never been about the trades. It's always been about, hey, is this a legit cybersecurity company that you can trust? Because I already believe in the cybersecurity thesis. So now it's about picking the winners. And it seems like CrowdStrike and Palo Alto are theirs, and CrowdStrike is just growing way faster than Palo Alto right now.
Yeah, CrowdStrike is it's kind of developed its own segment. The biggest problem with cybersecurity in general is like it's very segmented, right? Yes, like there's cybersecurity for every little thing. Yeah. Sorry. But yeah, network security, that's where Palo Alto plays, or that's where the Palo Alto owns. You have Cloudflare, that's like different type of internet security. The only way I'd say it's never Fortinet. Fortinet's not really the thing. Fortinet is a direct competitor to Palo Alto, but it's not even close.
Can we do Apple? And let me watch you squirm justifying how this makes any sense. It's just entertaining.
Justifying?
Yeah, I just want you to justify 228 on Apple.
From a chart perspective?
Whatever perspective you need to use to sleep well at night.
Right now, I think Apple is in this consolidation, right? So same thing. So here's my chart. This was that breakdown here. So earnings, this pullback and subsequent like rip. I think it's just the street like anticipating it, right? Even if I took all of these drawings off, right? You could just say, hey, look, Apple is in a consolidation for, you know, it's up 40% in the last 6 months. I said that before. I'll say it again. And it's holding 40% in 6 months. I mean, you can't say that for a lot of stock. And even like 5 years, it's way higher than most of the Mag 7.
Wait, what is it? Hold on. Let's make sure. Apple over 5 years is what? Apple over 5 years is 315%. Google over 5 years is, you're right, 160%.
Not even close, man.
Nvidia over 5 years is 2,000%. That's a different story. Tesla obviously has been dead money, but it's still 1,400% over 5 years. And then Meta over 5
Give me
years.
Amazon.
Dude, Apple's beating everyone except Nvidia and Tesla. Amazon over 5 years is Amazon's only 120%. Microsoft's definitely going to be, I think, 140 or less. Microsoft is.
I think Microsoft's up there, dude.
Microsoft. No, you might be right. Microsoft over 5 years is 200%, but Apple's still beating it.
So,
wow.
Justified? I don't know.
Or no one's willing to sell this shit outside of Buffett. Maybe that's the other thing going on. But there you go. Apple.
I'm getting shocked. There you go. Right. Anyways, I think we're just kind of like retesting this, right? Like there's the thing with Apple here now is, I'll be frank, it doesn't have a lot of catalyst immediately. I don't know. Yeah, right here, right now, it doesn't have a ton of catalysts until we have like an actual like airdrop update. You know, this current iteration of the phone doesn't have a lot of AI stuff. So I think it's just going to be a slow grind to see if that actually comes through. But this for right now it's still in consolidation. Somehow it's holding 225, this little level. But again, to me, a better pullback is in this 218 type level towards the bottom of these consolidations. But for now, I'd stay long, be long. And then look, the whole market's a long, man. It's a Goldilocks setup.
No, you're right. I agree with you. 100% agree. Can we look at Salesforce?
Apparently not like Moderna. That's not a long. We talked about that. Have you seen this?
Moderna should be down. How much is Moderna? Let's see. Oh my gosh. Holy crap. We talked about it like 3 weeks ago, I think.
And we said it was a short.
But anyways, over the past month is down 20%.
Yeah. We're almost at levels where I sold it last time.
Well, they have nothing. They had nothing other than the COVID vaccine, so they still have nothing.
Yeah,
right?
Like, you never know until they have something. but no, it's about the cash burn for sure. What was the ticker that we were supposed to look at?
What did I just say? Oh, CRM.
Oh, I like CRM. Dreamforce over now, right?
Yes.
So CRM, I actually really like the CRM intraday chart. It's tough, right? 270 is a massive level. So here we are. And you know, it made the trek from 260 to 270 like in a day. It was right here. It was 250, sorry, to 268. It was literally one day. And your buddy Paper Gains took this anyways. But it was like one day. So this is the first day that we're actually closing over this last earnings gap down. This is actually a pretty big day for CRM, technically speaking. This looks really constructive. I'll give you one more after this, just as a little bit of confluence. So so CRM is the biggest component of one of these ETFs that tracks the software sector called IGV. But here's the CRM. So 268, where we stand today, this can get going. I actually ended up buying the stock too, around like 250, just under 250s, but 268, if this level holds and we get some continuation of the upside, you're 285 next, and you're probably all-time highs around the 300s.
Well, Benioff is really selling this dream of agents heavily.
Yeah. I mean, there's a super sticky company. You know, let's see. This is 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
This is a weekly chart, my dude. This is a weekly scale. This is like just base after base after base. This is a very constructive weekly scales chart.
Okay, can we do Clean Spark?
Oh, wait, I said I was going to give you another one. So IGV is that software sector. This is the sector that CRM is the largest component of. If you don't know what this ETF is, oops, it used to be as like parabolic as like SMH. And I think that it's going to be, again, this is where Palantir lived for the longest, still lives, CRM lives. But the software sector, this whole rate story, the other component, not a lot of people necessarily know is like that software sector. The rates are a big help for them as well. So this is all technology. IGV is the ticker. Go ahead, go look into this, see what the largest components are. I believe it's CRM is the largest component of
IGV?
this.
You said IGV?
Yeah, IGV.
I'll tell you right now, the top 10 in this thing are Salesforce, Microsoft, Adobe, Palo Alto, Oracle, ServiceNow, Intuit. Oh, Palantir's in this.
Yeah,
Whoa.
Palantir lived in this. That's what dude.
No. I don't think Palantir was in this earlier
muted that whole time because I would just yap.
No, I don't think Palantir was in this earlier this year. I know this.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
I really don't think it was, dude.
I'm telling you it was.
Palantir was barely in any ETFs this year.
It was in the IGV, but not a lot of people know about this. You like my drawing?
I love it. Nice. Year to date, this thing is up 11%.
Yeah, so it hasn't moved yet. That's my point. But the setup here is it's a really this is a weekly scale, so this could take a while. But I do think that the rate cuts will move this cohort of stocks as well. So CRM to that end is the largest component of this IGV ETF. This is a mover for sure. So the CRM move, I think, is real. I think that it's really at breakout levels as of today.
Okay. Can we do NEO? Oh, sorry.
No, it's China.
Well, let's do NEO then China. Let's do NEO then CleanSpark.
NEO. We'll do China. NEO is the biggest one up.
Do you like NEO at all? Do you think electric?
I mean, it was weird. I bought NEO at 250. Over here, and I sold it somewhere here. I never.
Oh, this is in 2020. You did.
Yeah, and I never really looked back. I mean, it got to 330. Technically, this looks okay. To be fair, I have.
Well, it doesn't look horrible, right? It looks like a decent chart. It doesn't.
No, it looks like, dude. All of these are like, the thing is, like, they could be bounces, like dead cat bounce. So you gotta be really careful about that. You're not breaking out yet, actually.
Yeah.
So you have this $7 level. I think you get to 7 easily. Which, I mean, if you're along at 350, that's a double. That's really good. But I think you get to 7, and then you have to see what happens, because this could get to 850 and then pull back to 7 and then have a lower high and then just continue on. That's possible. But I think from here, this is barely starting. And it's such a small dollar stock, I have to use like a higher scale. So 530 is a big deal right here. So as long as this is holding this zone, that's under 482.
Okay.
That's constructive.
All right. Let's do CleanSpark.
We do clean. I haven't looked at it yet. I think CleanSpark, you take a lotto. Ooh, that weekly chart looks juiced. So this was
Why are you laughing?
because I took a lotto.
You did. So hold on. You hated CleanSpark. You called it fake 2 weeks ago.
It's still fake, and I was right, and it was 50% higher.
Dude, the CleanSpark bulls must be so happy in the chat right now.
It got halved. It did. It got halved.
So what's your lotto? What's the call? What'd you take?
Dude, like $20.
What, January?
No, not even. I think if it goes, it's gonna be faster. like really fast. But because they're so squeezy. But anyways, here's where we are, right? So this last retest in this area, that's where I went. Like they're so far out of the money, dude. I'll tell you, they're not even moving. But
I mean, yeah, stocks at $9. It's tough.
yeah. But if it goes, it's gonna have some like nasty candles. I don't know that it goes, but they're like just the point where like I don't really care if it goes. It's gonna be like, oh, nice, huge win. But if it doesn't, I didn't have to risk a whole lot on it either.
Right.
But yeah, so 920, that's a big deal. That was a big deal. Breakout today. It looks like a little bit better day than Coinbase had, quite frankly.
The miners are moving better than Coinbase. That's for sure.
Yeah. So I mean, it's at a similar level to Coinbase, really. So here's the thing on you have this huge low volume pocket from when they got just absolutely demolished. I think this gets sucked up in like a single session one day. Like one day.
And then Bitcoin at 70K probably does that, you would imagine. Something like that.
I don't even know that it needs that. It could just be like this whole cohort just catches fire. It's not quite there yet. 970. I posted about it. There's a trader that took like a stupid bet to do. I don't know. I saw it and I was like, whoa. But at this level, I'm a double anyways, because they were so far and it was like, it's not really going to matter. I'm trying to find it on the feed. Oh, it might have been one. Oh yeah. It might have been one where like it was this. Something about $100,000 to buy 10,000 $20 calls in a single order.
I mean, shit, dude.
Hey,
crazier things have happened, right?
They're not down, right? And then this is what his payout would have been. I was like, whoa, $3 million. Anyways.
Well, dude, if it runs with Bitcoin, I feel like that is possible. It's just, it's got to run when Bitcoin runs. The problem with the miners is they haven't run with Bitcoin, or when Bitcoin falls, then the miners fall at a higher
output. When Bitcoin falls, the miners tank. When Bitcoin runs, the miners like take little stutter steps sometimes.
Correct. Okay, can we do Elf Beauty?
Oh, I was thinking about this one the other day. Not there yet. Not there yet. Ooh, that's not. This was that area that I was looking for, 97.03. I think give her one more leg drop down. This is a bear flag, right? When you see this kind of setup. So when you see this kind of setup and it's still kind of going, this is what you do call a bear flag. Looks like that. When your pull is coming from the top, here's your flag, and you're firing off right now. So let her go. That should get you around $97, and then you can watch it. Doesn't mean buy it. But it's that, or if this fails, but it's not going to fail until it's over like 115, 120.
Correct. I 100% agree with that. And it had a great year, but then they had a couple crappy sales reports come out. Not even earnings, but just sales reports.
This is Celsius. That's a nice double top.
Yep, there you go.
So this double top, this pattern is pretty much full too, right? So from here to here, this is it's from Ghost. Like, what is it? Ghost Rider. The pattern is full.
Oh, you taught me that last week. The pattern's full. Correct. I haven't used that term at all because I forgot about it, but you taught me it. Have you seen Entourage, by the way? That show?
Oh, that's an old one.
But have you seen it?
Yeah.
Is it like one of the most epic shows of all time?
It's pretty good, dude.
Okay, because Steve keeps telling me I need to watch this show.
It's pretty good.
I started Game of Thrones the other day. Dude, in 2 minutes, I was like, what the fuck am I watching? And I turned it off. I was like, I can't. This medieval shit, dude. I can't do this. I can't watch this.
That's hilarious. So like, I would say the pattern's full. So when you have a double top, what you do is you like take this consolidation between the two, and then you basically double it right here. And so that does take you down to that just under 97. That's like 85s, which also makes sense.
Yeah.
The markets are open. You can see this play out on some really cool stocks like Roku.
Oh, Roku.
Sometimes this is the double top, right? You weren't even around. You didn't even know what stocks were when this was 495.
I was around in 2022 when Kathy was selling Palantir to buy Roku, and I just didn't understand it.
But look at, so here's that double top. So there's your consolidation. You take it here. What do you get? That's exactly what you get.
Yep.
Can you believe that Roku's gone from like 40 something dollars? It's now 75.
I mean,
are you bullish on the Roku?
I read the Guggenheim report and it makes sense, but compared to the other opportunities in the market, it's hard to
imagine if Roku's a long.
I mean, look, they're not profitable yet, but they're printing money. People are watching their ads.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand this, right? Like, what you guys in the chat, is Roku a buy? Do they know?
I feel like the opportunity cost of capital.
Pre-smart TV. Look, I have like 5 Roku devices in the house. They're all collecting dust. One is even plugged in the TV, but it's also plugged into an Alexa show, like an Alexa Cube. Do you know what that is? Alexa Cube, and some other stuff.
The thing is, they don't make money on the TVs. They make money on you watching the ads on the OTT.
That's what I thought. And I'm like, I don't use that thing, but apparently in other countries they do.
Dude, in Latin America, it is like...
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, and that's like the bulls are from Latin America, most of them. Anyways, well, like the ones that are always yelling at me, but
okay, so let's do first of all, AI Money. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Really appreciate it. Jason spends his time every Tuesday, so I'm gonna put his Twitter in the chat. Please make sure to check him out. He has a lot of more information on his Twitter, and he spends a lot of time with us going through this stuff. Can we talk about gold? And what are your thoughts on gold going up at all-time highs?
I've been long gold for like so long, dude. Do you own any gold stocks?
No. So can you explain what do you think the thesis is around gold right now? Why is it hitting all-time highs?
Why would you not be long gold?
Well, no, in general, I feel like everyone should have a portion of their portfolio with gold, but why right now do you think it's breaking out aggressively? Is it rate cuts? Is it
all of the above? Liquidity? Right? Like there's the thing about gold here now is that it has every reason to continue higher, like literally every reason. So this is my view, like every morning before I start doing anything. So it's like 6 boxes, right? So SPY, Qs, diamonds, the redhead stepchild of the market, IWM, VIX, GC is like gold futures, but gold, and most importantly, I think right now, the dollar. So like the dollar, this has always had an inverse relationship. This is also like inflation, things like that. Dollar goes down, stocks and gold typically go up. That's so if you think of, in its rawest form, since gold has no earnings capacity, things are valued for us in dollar terms, right? So like one share of Palantir today with no earnings costs, whatever it is, $36, right? If my dollar is worth less, very myopic view, if my dollar's worth less, then Palantir should be theoretically trading for more, right? Just because my dollar holds less value, right? Unfortunately for stocks, they have earnings and all that kind of stuff to deal with, but gold doesn't. So that's why there is a definitive inverse relationship with gold and the dollar.
So hold on, the dollar goes down, gold goes up, is what you're saying? Typically,
yeah. They'll fluctuate a little bit, but generally speaking, broadly speaking, yeah. So like dollars breaking down here. This is also like inflation, that kind of stuff. But gold is also in the I call like the conflict cabinet. Gold is like your staple.
It's a hedge as well.
What's that?
It's a hedge against like Middle East war and stuff breaking down.
Yeah, historically, right? Like,
so is that why you think it's going up? You think there's
no? What I'm trying to paint a bunch of different scenarios. So scenario one, dollars coming down, gold should go up. Scenario two, there's conflict in the Middle East, etc. This is a safety hedge, like also active theory, right? Scenario three, this is a multi-year what we call like, this is your coffee cup again. This has been playing out. Do you know how long I've been waiting for this move on gold emit? Like, you have no idea.
It has to be at least a decade, right? You've been waiting for this.
Well, not a decade, but for a year. This is like it's finally happening. And I'm finally hitting my targets here. So even from this last consolidation, I had it to here. We're at like 26 and change. So this is happening, man. If you're worried about the market at all-time highs, I think this gets to 3K. If you're worried about the market at all-time highs, if you're worried about like whatever conflict, walkie-talkies and pagers blowing up, do you hear about that? You got it.
Yes, I definitely
walkie-talkies and pagers blowing up. The inflation and the dollar coming down. There's just so many scenarios that play to gold's favor. It's just there's no real reason not to be long gold. This is not gonna come down. Even at times when the dollar has been going up, gold has like decoupled slightly in the near term from some of that dollar down, gold up kind of stuff. Because there are days when both the dollar is going up and gold's been going up, so it's been catching up significantly. There's one that I did hear some. This is silver.
Well, one real quick thing on gold, one stat for everybody. From 2010 to 2024, gold was up 100%. In 2024 alone, it's up 30%. That is where it's just, wow. This year has been incredible for it over the past decade.
Yeah. I mean, there's not, like I said, there's just not a lot of reason not to own gold right now. It's just what it is. I was going to show you like in our server too. So like the gold, so GDX, remember we talked about this? GDX was that there are gold stocks here.
Yeah.
This is NEM. So this is like an NEM chart. There were times when like, and these are $30. So this is our entry in the server, $30, Newmont Mining. And their total turnaround, right? Like, so what's going on? Why, blah, 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 all our shenanigans. And follow up as this goes. So like, but there are stocks that haven't caught up to this. And here's NEM now today. That is
this is a gold miner.
Yeah, this is February of this year. Today, and entry at $30, right? Literally. You're coming in a double, right? And this has like a turnaround story. There's just so many things. This was going meant to be long term. Where's my stuff?
Also, by the way, thank you, Not Branded, for becoming a channel member. Shout out to you, Not Branded. Thank you for becoming a channel member.
So following largest mine acquisition history, guys finally digesting the bite they took with gold approaching all-time highs, NEM netting 23% growth and plans to sell $2 billion in non-core assets. This is a story stock on Newmont Mining that most people don't know. This is February. Limiting capex to 1.3 billion. The miners, the gold miners, similar to the crypto miners, have historically been known for like crap deployment of capital, like really bad deployment of capital. And I think this is like they're starting to turn that around, specifically Newmont. And they published all their plans, by the way, but they're growing 23%, and like the stock market was not giving them any real credit for it. So I've taken like a small trim. I'm still long. I think this is about to possibly accelerate significantly on something like NEM. And you look at this type of long-term chart, you're like, oh, if this really goes somewhere, that could be crazy. And GDX, anyways. So I think all that said, the miners inside of gold might be a better scenario. This is GDX, the gold miner ETF. This is a huge, I didn't even realize it was almost 42 today. This is just freaking massive. Barrick Gold is another one, GOLD. Let's see what they're doing. Yeah, they haven't really moved yet. So like Barrick Gold has not made the move yet. Possibly something to look at. AGI is one that, oh yeah, this is, she gone. That's all-time highs. anyways, there are still pieces in here that I don't know. You'd have to look into Barrick Gold a little bit more. Why they haven't moved any or what's the other one? AU. AU is another one. Is it AGI? Yeah.
Well, I mean, if gold goes to 3,000, I imagine the miners have a little.
You would think that, right? But they've been there compared to as an ETF, where the miners are as an entire cohort. This is not anywhere close to where gold, the underline is.
Right.
So they used to outperform gold, but from inception right now, they're still underperforming gold. But if that story were to turn around, and that is because of like not being able to deploy capital that well, if this does turn around, this is just massive. It's not like tech fun, but you know what? We talk with like stock talk all the time, and I'm like, he loves being an Amazon investor, but like stock ain't going nowhere. Make it go somewhere.
Can we do Microsoft?
I still like Microsoft. It was a little shaky today. I think it's stuck, but if it, I think it's going to have a little push pull, to be fair. Microsoft had broken out. So this was the box that they were in here.
This thing fell below 500 or 400 on their last earnings.
Yeah, you got to buy it every time you do that. Sorry. I was looking. Yeah, we do like the same thing. We do crowd. Where is it? Amazon, Microsoft. So Microsoft, literally anytime below 400, it's just been a buy.
Huh.
These are 390s. And
so they had the increased buybacks and dividend yield last week. That was the big news for them.
Yeah. So I'm still looking for well over this 485 plus.
See, this is the thing, dude. If Microsoft were to fall 40 points, there are so many people ready to buy that dip when it comes to tech that it's just hard not to be long big tech.
So this is at the point where it's an interesting spot, right? So like the bears are going to be like, oh, you have this setup, right? Like this bear setup. But if that fails, it's just going to be massive. And so like, to me, this was a buy. Like this is where we were buying in this little box, but I don't know that it's new money deployed here unless it takes another shot at this, which I think it could. You're just, so let me drop down to that 30, my trusty 30 minute. So here, look at this, dude, 426 straight across. This is holding, and I can pull this, straight across. If it holds up here, it's a big level. So I'd actually be somewhat constructive. I think that might be like contrarian constructive, possibly. I think it's like you build a position in that area, but
right.
Your better dip buys are down here. I don't know that this is like, I think it's like Nvidia. It's like, it's not exploding just yet. If you want to take a trend, you could probably grab from here to here. Yeah. And you would probably also grab these two lows.
What is the volume profile indicator you're using? People asking.
This is just, these are my settings. It's what it is. So like, it's the standard visible range volume profile, VRVP. Like in the settings.
Yeah, because a lot of people love the one you use.
Yeah, so it's visible range. Oh, I guess I don't have it up there. Oh, it's the settings. So I flip it. So I have basically there's this point of control here, value area. So point of control is here. So I have it shaded. So that's like 10%. But visibility is where I mess with it because I crank this up to 500. I think it comes with like like maybe 50, and it normally looks like this, and it's also normally on the other side of the screen. Like it's normally over here. So I flip that. So it's not overlaying to the chart. And then I crank this up. This is like going from standard def to HD. And then you could get these like really granular levels.
Okay. Can we do Netflix?
Dude, so bullish. Is that crazy?
You're long Netflix?
Yeah.
You're not long Netflix.
Bro, I've been long Netflix for a long time.
What? I didn't know that.
So you know what's funny? People think that I trade a lot of options. I do trade a lot of options, but we do a lot of equity too.
Netflix.
This is the last entry that I sent. 450, 425, not sold.
I mean, look, it's done 700. It's not bad. It's not bad at all.
Yeah, this was me getting long here after this from this level. Like this was breaking, getting long here. Yeah, I don't really have a reason to. There's nothing about this chart that says I need to close it.
And you don't care about valuation here on Netflix. You think it's
valuation?
Yeah.
Is it over $1 trillion? Because if it's not, then no.
You think Netflix is worth $1 trillion? I mean,
goes, yeah.
I have a bridge to sell you. Netflix at 722. Holy I have not looked at this in like, I feel like a
call me when it's $1 trillion.
Dude, Netflix is not a fucking $1 trillion company. Like,
why not?
You think Netflix is worth $1 trillion?
Why not?
All right. I mean, it's worth 300 billion, right? They need to do a stock split tomorrow. They need to get people
tomorrow. Why? You don't like it?
They put this thing to $70, people will get excited. 722, it feels ridiculous. Even if it, psychologically doesn't matter.
Can I just
300 billion? You think Netflix?
What's wrong with that?
You think so? They do 30.
Help me understand how Netflix isn't going to $1,000.
If You Season 5 sucks, they're not going to $1,000. If Squid Games 2, by the way, I love that series. If that sucks, they're not going to $1 trillion. Look, they can get to $1 trillion if they expand to literally every household in the world. Is that possible? Yeah, it is, because they have the best content.
I mean, they're pretty much there already. But like, what if they change their offerings? What if they pull a Robinhood and like all of a sudden there's a net new whatever? I don't know.
But what could
I don't believe in the video game thing though, by the way.
Yeah, forget video game. What could they possibly offer to bring in a whole new stream of like theme parks? But that's CapEx heavy. I mean, that's not Internet. They're gonna compete with AT&T and Verizon.
They just take it over.
What are you talking about, dude?
Why not? You asked.
They're gonna become an internet service provider. That's what you.
They can do internet. They
live sports. I think live sports is
live sport. Oh, M's in the house. Yeah, live sports. This guy was yelling at me about Cat a second. I think it was this thing. We were buying Cat calls of like.
How much is this up year to date?
And I stomped out. This thing is all time high, $400. God damn.
It's up 30% this year. This is a defensive, right? You would classify Cat as a defensive?
Industrial.
Stock? Industrial, okay.
Yeah, this is where you want to be, industrials.
Maybe they buy Roku. I feel like that would decrease their market.
I might sell Netflix if they buy Roku. Emperador is one that tells me that like Roku is along all the time. But he lives in Mexico. So there's that.
Can someone in the chat come up with a good reason for Netflix to go to $1 trillion?
Netflix buys Mint Mobile.
No, what if Netflix buys Spotify?
Yeah, okay, so there you go.
I don't think Spotify would sell. I think Daniel Ek is too ambitious to sell to Netflix. Like I see Spotify potentially going to $1 trillion before Netflix, even though Spotify's margins suck.
Emperor Roku is along.
See, but the problem with Spotify and Netflix, both these companies saying they would get to these like $1 trillion valuations.
Right, Clyde has a pretty solid point there. If they did that, that would be massive. Tell me they wouldn't be $1 trillion.
So two things. Spotify, Netflix have to pay so much for content, whether it's licensing,
Netflix X,
whether
X.
it's licensing or whether it's music labels. That's what hurts their profitability, which is what I don't like about the companies. Number two, if they added corn, yeah, they would go to $1 trillion overnight, but they can't do that. Like that's not legal, I think, for them to add corn. So like that's not going to happen.
This is like Shy. You know, remember Shy the other day? He said like, was it Snapchat should buy Grindr and OnlyFans?
He said,
remember that?
I didn't.
Shy.
I don't hate that take. That's a good take. I like that.
Dude, like Snapchat should buy Grindr and OnlyFans.
Netflix X. There you go.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, Netflix X. Netflix 6.
Dude, what if they had an adult tier to Netflix and you pay $20 a month or 25? And
bro, you think you're gonna $20? They're gonna charge you 50 or more.
Wait, you saw the stat? OnlyFans creators made a $6 billion.
I did.
Year, right?
I did. Netflix Live.
Dude, Netflix X, I think takes it to $1 trillion.
Netflix X Live takes it to $1 trillion.
Holy shit, dude, that might be the idea. How do you think shareholders would feel though? Do you think shareholders would like get upset about that? Like how is JP Morgan going to value? Can you imagine the analyst report? Like, we believe the adult segment of Netflix is going to add $400 billion of top line. Like,
I don't know, man. I don't know, but
that would be funny. That'd be very.
But
funny.
you asked, we answered.
Okay, let's do the final two. CCL. Can we take a look at that?
How do you guys even know about CCL? Oh, no, never mind. I was thinking about something else. I was thinking about CCI.
Oh, Chris talks about CCI as well. It's an interesting.
Yeah, CCI, AMT. Anyways,
yeah.
CCL. These things have been all CLH. I was looking at. I felt like looked a little bit better. A little bit. They're all still right at the top of their ranges. So, this is the 4 shot at this level for Norwegian. We'll see. If these things break, I don't know. I don't want to be in spreads. I'll tell you that much. If they go, I think that you're going to get crushed on volatility. I think that they just like explode.
I also think we have to avoid a recession for cruise lines to still be good.
Yeah. I did Norwegian take assistance in COVID? Do you know?
Like a PPP loan?
Yeah, I feel like they did not, but Carnival did.
I actually have no clue. I imagine they do have. They all have a lot of debt, though. It's not like they don't have debt.
Yeah,
rates coming down should be bullish for the debt.
Look at they love the Netflix X.
Dude, I like that idea. I don't hate that idea. Like
they both issued that. Okay.
I mean, at least it would give me something to watch on Netflix. There's like literally nothing on Netflix to watch. Like, at least you would have something.
I think these are constructive charts, both of them. NCLH, CCL. I think they're in like building periods. So like you want to be, if you don't have to get into it today, this is like upper end of this. Either you wait for it to really break over $20. And you're likely going instantly to 23. And at that point, like, so this is, it's likely something like this, pull back and then go. These are choppy stocks to trade. I think this is more, I feel like this is more equity / leaps, not short-term trades. I mean, if you have to be really watching it short-term. I like the Norwegian chart better than Carnival. This is critical, right? So like up here, in here, I think that I almost feel like I should buy more. But if I were to do that, like 1920s area. So like this is it, if you get a crazy pullback and your dreams are crushed, that's fine. Where would that be on Carnival? It's not even that low on Carnival. It's like 1750s.
All right. So we've done 30 tickers. I know you got to go. One last one, PLMR for our good friend, the Big Sour.
Oh, he's still on this.
He's still on this thing.
I'm wondering if it's going to be up or is it going to be down?
He's the only person I think on YouTube that cares about this stock. So
It's up.
It's up. Okay, there you
A little
go.
bit.
This is an insurance company for those that don't know.
So it's like the safety trade, right? Like gold goes into the safety bucket, right? Like this is actually good. This looks good. I think we're talking about possible ads down in that level anyways. This is what you want to see, that this is at $94. So you have a weekly open and hopefully close above 94. You just want to see this constructively grind higher. I don't remember like all of stuff. Yeah, it looks like so they're beating. Interesting that the street's expecting they make less next quarter.
Maybe that's a seasonal thing.
I don't know. But I mean, if it's insurance, they should be making more, not less. Revenue is expected to go higher, but they're not expected to make more on that revenue. I don't know why that is.
Year to date, PLMR is 70%. Huh. All right, so that's why the big sour cares so much. He has a lot of gains, and he's probably trying to figure out if he should sell or keep it going.
Oh no, I think he should keep it. So like, if this goes
Q3 hurricane season, yeah, that's a good point.
Oh my God, have you? Oh, these are my guys, my crew's in here. Like 130s, man.
130. You just made Big Sour very happy.
125. Just slightly breached that.
Big Sour said I had a spread and sold most of it. All right, so you took some profits there. All right.
Yeah, I think this is not in the sell options category anymore. If this holds this level, it's in the buy options category because you're going to get some range expansion.
Right.
If that continues. Speaking of hurricane season. Oh, almost. This is the hurricane stock. Woo.
GNRC.
Generac.
What is this stock? Generac year to date, they're up 18%.
Well, Generac is the biggest generator. They make generators and home power. This is actually you want to be long this stock.
Dude, this is why capitalism is so cool. Like there's a company for everything and you can just find a way to invest in them.
Yeah, they make massive generators, stuff like that. Have you seen uranium? Speaking of, did you see Microsoft and whoever opening up the last nuclear plant that exploded?
CEG, that's the name.
Yeah, there's another one. I think it was NEE is the next one.
NextEra.
NNE. Nanonuclear has a power plant that had a meltdown, I believe, but has not reopened. And NE, I believe they do.
That stock's up 165% this year.
Which stock?
NNE.
Well, I mean,
why the fuck are they up 165? Did they sign a deal with someone?
Dude, something's going on with this. Well, after they're opening this nuclear power plant that melted down, I mean, that changed the whole thing, right? Like Bill Gates has been talking about needing more power forever.
Can you look at Oklo, OKLO? Do you know this one?
Oh man, is that fucker? Is he in here?
I mean, it's not just him. A lot of people. This is Sam Altman's company.
So Emperador, highlight that. Nuclear is an AI play. I think that's it's not that the old nuclear bull story is away, but I think it's a revitalization of that like thesis, right?
Well, I mean, if we need trillions of dollars of computing demand for AI, we need the energy from somewhere, and nuclear seems
What
like
is this? What? This is the uranium ETF. I did not realize it was that. I have not zoomed out that far. What?
I mean, no one liked nuclear back in 2010.
What is happening? This is like weed stocks on steroids right now. But this it's a big deal level here, man, for the entire ETF.
Year to date, URA is up 6%. Can you go to Oklo? And I want to see if you have any take.
This is small cap. I don't know this one. What's the story behind it?
It's nuclear fission. Sam Altman's the not the CEO, but the founder. I think of it as a startup that's public, but they got to deal with Amazon for nuclear energy a week ago. That's why it broke out.
It's 35% in 3 days.
Yeah, that's the Amazon thing.
Okay.
They got the deal the same time Constellation got the deal with Microsoft. So all these energy companies that are like small caps are getting a bid.
Yeah. Well, so I think you got to let this breathe. I didn't know it was headline driven. So that's probably baked into the stock here. $8 seems to be pretty important. $8 down to, yeah, just as close to 8 or under 8. If she holds
my fear here is a lot.
You know why stocks are always women? Why do we always call if she?
No, why are they women?
I don't know.
Oh, I thought you were just trying to not be sexist.
What stock is a dude?
That's a good point. That's a very good point. Yeah, I've never referred to a stock as a dude. That's fair. Now the chat's gonna say I'm gay, so they're gonna disagree. But still, the problem I have with these small cap energy companies.
Jody, GEV, yeah. I am all like, I wish I just bought so much more. Dude, you want to see talking about like GE?
So hold on, two things. GEV is up 94% year to date.
Whatever, dude. Look at this.
The problem I have with some of these energy companies is that they run on headlines, and then after the headline's gone, there's nothing exciting there, right? And that's the biggest issue.
$60 pre all splits
with GEV.
No, GE pre all splits. Like before GEV was a thing. This is like 2023. GE and thesis, the whole nine. But now GEV is spun off. This is me like tracking it.
Wait, hold on. GEV is spun off from GE?
Yeah, man. We got GEV one share for every 3 shares of GE that we owned.
Oh, that happened in March.
But I didn't like continue to hammer it, and I should have, because part of this whole thing was like I wanted GE the equity before it was split for GE Aerospace and GE Energy, and I didn't like I didn't continue to hammer GEV, and GE Healthcare I never really cared for. That would actually always held the stock down.
Wait, hold on. Why did GE do this? Why did they split off energy?
Larry Culp. Look, like the whole shenanigans, right? So this is in 2023. Actually, like the entry was before this, but Return of the Old Guard, well, FANG is out, and industrials. This is a 10-year cycle. It's a legit 10-year cycle. So, anyways, this is why Larry Culp came in. He is like financial genius. If you don't know who he is, it's a whole thing. And so this is a planned 10-year thing. Where do I have it written down? Maybe
I did not know GEV split off from GE.
Fundamentally, GE report earnings missed, but price action bullish. That was the tell. This is all about Larry Culp. Larry Culp, 4 years in at that point in time. And his whole thing was that Larry Culp, they wanted him to be CEO of Boeing, right? But he's still doing his thing at GE. So this is the sum of the parts is greater than the whole, in your face. But
this is what theoretically could happen to Google if the DOJ wins. You could get YouTube in cloud.
Sure. I think 3M has a better opportunity of doing this than Google. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. Are the G at 3M reverse splits? No, these are splits, not reverse splits. But anyways, so of the sectors, both gross, G's position. So each segment, blah blah. Oh God, it was the three sectors. It was aviation, healthcare, and energy. Of the three, for the next 10 years, they want to be in. One share of GE, it's for every 3. I didn't really care for that. And then we got
wow, so GE Healthcare is called GEHC.
Yes. And then eventually we got and at this point I sold all my principal, pulled it out. Now I could care less what happens to the stock.
GE Aviation is
spin off again. So here's what, and that's what we're looking, GE or GEV split.
Yeah. Okay, so hold on. Going back to companies like Oklo, I know they're like startups that are technically public, but do you think it's worth doing the DD to look at them? If we need nuclear.
It depends. Like if you have a story that's like this kind of story, right? So this is like entries here. So like if you have a story that's like, okay, the thing about them, they're so new. This is a story where it's a turnaround story, right? Like, okay, LO, it's really hard. Here's the thing about these small cap companies, maybe, but like for the most part, you look at things like OpenAI and you look at like what's Vlad's new company?
Harmonics.
Yeah, like that's a bummer to me. Like that's the only thing that's like kind of like got me. If I don't want his focus to shift away from Robinhood. So hopefully those get integrated. But like, I feel like most of the good unicorns happen in the private market, and they're getting fully valued before they hit the public market, right? Like Snowflake, Rocket, like not Rocket Leg, like Rubrik. Like it's tough. But
I agree. I don't like the startups that go public. It's not exciting to see those, even if
so I'm more of like turnaround. If there's a turnaround situation, let's say Oklo has been public forever, right? Which it looks like it has, and somebody like an Altman takes over and is totally rechanging the whole thing. I think that's compelling, and maybe this is a story where it's like that.
Well, he's not going to do that. He founded the company, but he doesn't run it on the day-to-day, from my understanding. Oklo CEO is Jacob DeWhite. But Sam Altman did find, well, he's a chairman since 2015 of Oklo. But see, the bullish case here is that Sam Altman knows how much energy is going to be needed to make AGI. And if OpenAI ends up giving Oklo a contract, I mean, there you go. You know, I feel like there's ways that it's going to integrate, but it might be early jumping in.
Yeah. I think it's like a Rocket Lab where like, okay. Yeah, but I don't know.
300 million a year. That's the only difference.
This is $1 billion.
Yeah, it's a startup that's public. It was a SPAC. That's why you saw it public for so long. It was a SPAC for a while, and then they.
Oh, and it de-SPAC'd.
Yeah, de-SPAC. Yeah.
The de-SPAC.
Dude, remember the SPAC days? The SPAC days are fun.
Oh, dude.
It was like a mystery box every time.
I had Nicola before like VTIQ, like
oh my god,
$12 or whatever, and I ran the whole thing, dude.
It ran to 73, right, Nicola, or like 90?
Yeah, that's when Tilray went to like 300.
Yeah, Tilray, Smile Direct Club, bro. Those were the days, bro. Those were the days I was just fucking gambling. I had literally no idea what I was doing.
Tilray, $300, bro. Like it was insane. That's when Moderna went from 20 to like to whatever, like 500. Maybe these are back.
Okay, last question for you. Visa is getting sued by the DOJ.
I didn't really cover it that much. What's the deal?
And Pelosi sold 2,000 shares a couple months ago. The DOJ saying they have a monopoly on debit cards. Do you think that's a legit argument?
So I believe that monopoly on debit cards.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true.
But do you think they deserve to be sued? Do you think it's like something?
I mean, DOJ is going after monopolies, right? I think I think they're finally getting to something that has a little substance. Then I think that's true. I think it's true. But I mean, monopoly is not. It's not. There's MasterCard and there's American Express, right?
Would you get excited
about for a PayPal limit?
I mean, it's bullish for a lot of financial technology companies that Visa's broken up, I think.
Is that another bull case for PayPal? Because what?
Well, here's my question: would you get into Visa after a DOJ announcement, or would you be scared even if it's down?
Nah, I MasterCard is like one of the best stocks, like performing stocks forever. I don't know. It's like Visa has been choppy over the years.
Let me see.
Very choppy.
Visa stock over 5 years, it's been 56%.
Yeah, well, it's been choppy.
MasterCard.
Like, look at this is choppy, right? And this is a weekly scale, so it was super choppy. Finally got off its horse, right? This is around 210.
Yeah,
I think
MasterCard's at 80% for 5 years.
Yeah, I feel like that's valid, but this was that last break. Honestly, 265, if it starts to base out around there, it's close, dude. It's really close. Like in that area, it would just be a higher low because it's a bullish chart net, but I don't know that I want, like, I look at, would I rather Apple over Visa or Robinhood over Visa here? This is not, this is one of those where, like, if you want to buy it and stick it in there. Are you doing Disney? When's the analyst day for Disney?
They have an analyst day? What are they going to show? Mickey Mouse? What the fuck are they going to do on analyst?
Oh, it's a big day.
Dude, what is Disney going to show on the analyst day that's actually going to make them
Investor day?
The investors excited.
Dude,
I have no faith in Disney. I might be dead wrong on this, but I have no faith in them.
You don't like Bob?
He's leaving soon. Who's going to run this ship?
I mean, what if he extends for like another decade?
Then we're really screwed, because if he's the only one that can save this thing,
It's fair.
I don't know, dude. I don't know about Disney. All right, dude, you got to get out of here. It's been fun.
It's time.
It's been 3 hours for you. Thank you, Jason. Every Tuesday, he's here for 3 hours.
Imagineering. Yes.
Really appreciate him. Please, please, please make sure to follow him. His Discord, all of his good stuff is in his description. You can check it out. And if you want more of Jason, you can go through his Discord and get access to more of his thoughts. And
you can hang out with the Mint and the whole team in the group. So we'll see you Thursday, right? We'll talk on Thursday for Stock Talks thing.
Oh yeah, I'll see you on Thursday.
Yeah, so follow on Twitter too. Yeah. We'll do a bunch of spaces. All right, man. Appreciate it. You rock.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Jason. See you, Jason.
Later.
All right, guys, that's it for me. This was a fun one, 3 hours. Hopefully you guys got some value. I'll be live again tomorrow, 8:45 for the market open. We do have a couple of earnings tomorrow that matter. The Chris Camillo podcast, I'll be putting it out in like an hour. So for those that didn't catch in the market open, I think it was a good one. All the chapters will be there. It was really fun. I'll put some clips out on X as well. But that'll be out in a couple hours or in like 1 hour. And that's pretty much it. All right. Thank you, everybody. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. We'll be back tomorrow, 8:45. Yes, Micron tomorrow. That'll be a big one. And we'll see how that one goes tomorrow. That pretty much sums up earnings season. And then we got to wait about 6 weeks until we begin earnings again, 7 weeks. And then we'll be back to earnings by end of October. All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a good day. I will see you guys tomorrow for the market open. Bye, everyone. Have a good one.